pull back a little bit. Make sure I got us all.
Yeah, in my postal uniform.
I'm wearing a hoodie and a hat.
I'm not that worried about it.
We're good.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
Joe got the hint it was casual Friday, so it worked out.
Yeah.
Hey, this is how I went to work today.
I was gonna say, did you go like that, or did you just change after?
No, I went to work like this today. I didn't give a shit today.
Okay, nice.
I'm pulling my format. It's the same exact format as last week.
I work from home Thursday and Friday, so like this is my Friday here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah, and it's other stuff too. Like we were talking about the other day with Jaime when he angle shot me in that one for a huge hand, and then I got Professor Joe over here like, well, wasn't it obvious? I'm like, no, he told me he didn't have that.
He said he had ace piece.
Yeah, so like,
what does ace piece mean?
Yeah, right. But I'm not.
I hate when Joe does that.
I don't. No,
I hate. I never talk about like if somebody else did a big ass hand, like I'm never saying anything during the hand or even after.
So my thought at that point in time is I got to decide because I think I can't remember specifically, but I think I had ace queen and I had like top two, or it was like ace king queen board.
No, there was ace and a bunch of low cards.
And I had
he's like, I got ace piece. I got ace piece.
So did I have ace queen or ace king? And I'm like, and I think I thought to myself, like, at least not drawing dead, or there's something. And like, I never,
No, listen.
Yeah. Like, don't angle shoot. I hate
paying that piece of shit off in a hand. I really do.
But you know, like I don't like being angle shot. I don't. And then to have Joe after that, like, oh, come on.
You gotta remember, he's tight.
Shut the fuck up.
As bad as he plays, he's tight.
Right, and I understand that, but don't tell me like you don't do that. That's just not what you do.
You know what it is? Here's the thing. I gotta tell you guys a story real quick. And for anybody watching, if you love poker stories, this is a top 3 story. Joe's playing in the Bristol game about a month ago. He gets into this hand. He has ace king. He gets raised, re-raised, 4-bet pre-flop. Him and you guys know Bob Borkowski?
Yeah.
They get into a hand. Joe checks. It flops ace king king. Joe flops the second nuts. He checks. Bob fires every street. Proceeded to go all in on the river. Joe tank folds the second nuts.
What?
To a known bluffer.
Yeah.
What?
How do you? Yeah.
He tank folds it. You gotta have 2 aces.
Yeah, I'm never folding that hand there.
Bob turns up 9 high and shows a
bluff.
I'm
not folding that. I'm not folding that hand to get there against like Ron. Like I'm not folding that hand against anybody.
I'm folding a hand against Calvin.
No, I'm not going down there with the second nuts. No, I'll lose. There's no way.
Yeah, I'll just lose. I'd rather just lose.
I'll take my loss.
I'll just take the loss.
Problem is he's check calling every street. He has no idea where he's at. He doesn't raise once to get information.
I know what you mean, but I feel like Calvin, I think, has the ability to check call the whole way. I don't think Gator would. I think Gator would eventually shove. I could be wrong.
Gator would shove the river.
So maybe Calvin, I think Gator might even shove the turn.
I don't know. I've seen Gator slay beasts like Marcel, so.
Yeah, but I mean, but then again, the mistake, like, I'm not betting that every street either. Like, I might bet that on the flop because I'm like, all right, let me bet for value. There's a lot of big cards out there. Maybe he has an ace, but I'm not going to, if it goes. But if it's like check
like
bet,
stuff of nightmares, bro.
If it's check bet call,
I don't care how much money I got. If I was like that, I want to end my life. Dude.
I'll let it go check it. I'll let it go check at that turner though because I don't want to lose him. Yeah. You know, I want him to hit something.
Bob led every street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you could have.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. If I'm Bob, I'm not. After it went bet call, I think I'm ahead. I got him strung along. I think I'm going to check that turn and either let them.
Did he flip his hand?
And either let them hang their own noose.
Yeah, he showed 9 high.
No, I'm saying
I'll either let them hang themselves there or something. Like, there's no way. I'm not.
You don't have to catch 2 aces. You got to have to catch 2 aces. I guys are no good. You win. Wow. I'm like, how do you get in these big spots and play like such a fucking
I don't get it.
I can't.
And then he'll make some of the loosest calls I've seen either with guys.
Crying calls like King High.
And I'll try to play the hand back in my head and think like, okay, did it flop like an ace or that he didn't bet it out? Oh no, he did bet out. He played like he had an ace. Like there's nothing that like made me think that he would have been trailing in that hand. And then Joe makes this call, and then lo and behold, it's a really similar hand to what you thought was just trying to bet at Joe for value, and then Joe fucking called down with pair of deuces or like you said, ace high or something, and it's like, what the hell? He makes some weird hero calls, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Let's get started.
Anyway, enough about that. Welcome to Treasure or Trash, another weekly insight into the NFL. I am Brian. This is Jeremy. And this is Joe.
What it do, baby?
What's up, fellas?
Another exhilarating week of action. Very exciting. Let's start off with the 49ers. They are still undefeated after a dominant blowout of what was a hot Carolina Panthers team coming in.
I was actually kind of shocked it was that much of a domination. It was an absolute domination. I thought it was going to be at least like I don't know. I thought it was going to be a good game at some point. It never was.
Game.
No. It never was. It was never competitive.
I didn't learn too much from that game. Carolina looks worse than I thought. They're probably going back to Cam Newton when he's healthy. I learned the same thing about the Niners. They want to run the ball first. Jimmy G, I think, dropped back like 21 times in that game. The defensive line, or the defense in general, is amazing. The offensive line's fantastic. It's probably not the popular opinion most people have. I still personally think they're maybe the third best team. I would take the Saints and the Vikings both ahead of them at this point.
What about the Packers?
No, I don't think so. I want to see Devontae Adams come back. I think Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones are playing out their ass right now. I think those touchdowns come down. I think there's some regression due there. I think they need Adams and maybe even another receiver to really step up. I think they're good. I don't think they're great. They're a playoff team, but I think they're maybe the fourth or fifth best team. Whereas I think the Vikings, the Niners, and the Saints have separated themselves.
So you think the Vikings overtake the Packers at some point?
Without a doubt. I think they're the better team. I definitely think they're the better team.
Well,
once they learned that they could pass the ball and do it, they're just so balanced. The defense is amazing. The offensive line is unreal. They literally have two running backs that can start in most places because Madison is a stud in the
He's literally a clone.
And he's had, I think it's the past 5 weeks, I think it's been 13 red zone carries for him and 17 for Cook. Like they mix him in sometimes, and now they're learning to pass the ball. And if they don't make Cousins do too much and hurt himself, I think they're really well-balanced.
I think the reason why Cook stays healthy too is Madison. They didn't have Madison last year. Yeah. He got hurt last year, but now you get to keep him fresh. Now they get to make that run. Now they get to make the real run.
Yeah, Cook is still playing like 75% of snaps. He's in there. He's getting most of the touches, but they are giving Madison like a legit workload. He's not just on mop-up duty.
Now let me ask you this: you're saying you think Madison is a difference maker, but Latavius Murray was behind him for 2 years. Latavius Murray is not too shabby. Is Madison better than Latavius Murray potentially?
It's hard to tell, obviously, because we don't get to see Madison full-time duty. But
yeah, and I also think we're talking about two guys right now, two teams that are running behind really good offensive lines. So I think part of it with the Vikings is just credit that offensive line.
Do you remember when Latavius Murray was in Oakland?
Excellent.
He did a great job on such an awful team.
Yeah.
He stood out.
And Murray was always more than just a handcuff. He was a guy you could have. He had some standalone value. Do I think Madison is as good as Murray? Jury's out, but I do think he's a solid player. I do think there's other teams he could go to and potentially start on or really play some significant downs for him. That's for sure.
I sometimes have trouble telling them apart. They look exactly alike.
Yeah, the dreadlocks cover the name and
numbers. Yeah, they run alike too. It's funny.
I just had to look for the longer nameplate on Madison.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Now, going forward with the 49ers here. You're right. You're talking about Jimmy G drop back 25 times, you said?
Yeah, it was like low to mid-20s. It's not much.
Can they keep winning games? I'm going to start with you, Joe. Can they keep winning games with the formula of the dominant defense and the lack of a passing game but relying on the run because your defense is going to carry you? Or is there going to be a point where they're going to need to open up because either they're going to stop the run or the defense is going to tire out?
So I think that formula does work, but there's going to be a point where they play defense like the Saints, where they're going to have to open it up. And I think that the trade for Sanders was like the move to try to open it up. Shanahan's a great offensive mind. He knows that he's not going to be able to run over everybody. You know what I mean? He knows that at some point you're going to have to throw. You got to throw at some point to win. They're going to stack the box. They're going to stop this. Somebody's going to stop the run at some point. So I think that the formula could work, but I think at some point they're going to have to if they're going to be a serious contender, they're going to have to open it up at some point.
How about it?
Joe put it perfect at the end. To be a serious contender, I think to win games, I think to go out and make a playoff push to win that division, formula works fine. I think for them to wind up making the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, I'm not sure that it does. I just feel like I think they're a vulnerable team. I don't think they're going to go out and hang up 30 points. They're going to do crazy stuff. I think teams could hang around. I know it was in a monsoon. I know it was crazy, but
they just put up 51 against Carolina. They put up 43 against Cincinnati.
They did, and it's a lot of run games, and it's Tevin Coleman scoring 4 times on 10 touches, something absurd like that. Like I'm not saying
12 carries.
Yeah, I'm not saying that
Brady out-carried him.
Brady did out-carry him, and now he's hurt. I like Jeff Wilson a lot going forward, just in case anyone wants to know. But
Mostert?
I'm not. He's a little dinged up already right now. I mean, maybe, but Jeff Wilson, I think a guy who has proven in the past he gets goal line carries.
He's the only one of the 4 that hasn't been hurt this year.
I like Jeff Wilson as a handcuff moving forward. But yeah, I think the formula works to get them there. I don't think it works to get them to the mountaintop.
I mean, put it this way: the San Francisco 49ers are almost at the bottom for passing efficiency in the NFL. So they're going to have to open it up.
Yeah, I think against better defenses and some better scoring teams and some stuff. I mean, because Carolina still is really one-dimensional. I mean, Kyle Allen has been serviceable, but that offense runs through McCaffrey, and that's that. He got his, and they just shut down Allen. And, they put up a lot of points. They had some short fields, and, but no, they're not a 51-point-a-game team. They're going to be 27 and under for the most part, I think, and it scares me when they play some of these more dominant offenses and defenses.
Well, we're going to know from week 12 onward. Well, here's the next 6 games. Before that, I should get into this. Here's 2 meetings with Arizona, sandwiched in with Monday night against the Seahawks, where I feel like they have the edge in all those games because Arizona does not stop anyone, and they're a young offense. And Kyler Murray's going to have a nightmare of a time playing that defensive line.
Yes, he is.
And Seattle, for whatever reason, cannot stop anybody.
They can't.
Yeah, Legion of Boom days are long gone.
That team runs through Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, and the rest of that offense.
I just feel like that offense is enough to give San Fran a game. I mean, Tyler Lockett's been amazing. He catches every ball thrown his way. I don't know why he's not targeted
the whole thing that scares me is the Niners just made the Rams offense look terrible 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Are you saying that Seattle puts on a better show?
I think so. I believe they do. I don't know that they're going to be great, but yes, I have much more faith in Russ and company than I do Jared Goff and company. And it's having more faith in Russ. And he's finally put it together, I think, completely this year. And,
this is a team that let off the gas Sunday in Atlanta and let them back into the game.
If you're asking me to make my pick right now, I think the Niners wind up winning that game. But I think that Seattle is competitive, and I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they found a way to pull that win out.
And they also still have to play the Rams again, and the Rams are
Week 7,
Rams
16.
The Rams are going to be better by then. I really do think so.
But after the sandwich of Arizona with Seattle, they're home to Green Bay, they're at Baltimore, they're at New Orleans.
Yeah. That's
is the gauntlet.
We're
going to find out if they're going to win the division or not.
Yeah, we've been saying all that a lot so far this year, but I think it still holds true. That's going to be their real test. Yeah. Yep.
You got to put it in the hands of your franchise quarterback at some point.
Yeah.
Defense does win championships, but at the same time, you need the ball in the hands of that guy.
Lynch is about to find out.
Can he be that guy that drives you, 24-21 game, 1.5 minutes left, and you need that last drive? Can he do that?
Well, we're going to find out if Lynch made a smart move by trading a second-round pick to get Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Or see if that Brady Belichick pedigree that he's learned over the years in New England is going to come into play now and help.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
And as far as on the other side of the ball, this guy, I don't really have too much to say. I think the Carolina Panthers defense is better than what it was this past week. They've been solid this year. McCaffrey's McCaffrey.
Yeah, I think it was that West Coast trip.
I don't have too much else to say about that game. Other than let's see if Cam gets healthy and takes back over for Kyle Allen. That's about it.
That will be a development in the coming weeks. I think when healthy, they're going to throw him in there because they're in the thick of this playoff race too.
Yep.
Now, on a very, very much darker note, again, probably the 3rd time in 4 years, J.J. Watt is out for the year again.
Sucks. Love that guy.
Jeremy, I'll start with you. How does this change the landscape of the Houston Texans going forward?
Look, the defense was already sluggish to begin with. They were already struggling. They're winning this year through Deshaun Watson's arm and what he's able to do a little bit on the ground. The run game, having Duke Johnson there, who played pretty well, had a few carries this week, a few catches out of the backfield. Just defense isn't their signature anymore. That's not how they're winning games. That's not how they're built right now. So I don't think it has a huge impact. Obviously, losing a pass rusher like J.J. Watt hurts anybody a little bit, but it doesn't really change it. I think that them and Indy are still the top of the class in that division, and I think it comes down to them. I don't think all that much changes.
I actually think it has a big impact. Their defense, you're right. Their defense wasn't good anyways. But not having that guy that, I mean, he blows up run plays. Like he literally, in the play he got hurt, that was an amazing play. He literally just blew up that whole play. So now they have a bad secondary, and now they don't have their guy that's going to be able to stop some run plays and put some pressure on the quarterback. I mean, it gets even worse. It gets even harder.
Well, not only are they down J.J. Watt now, but they're without Jadeveon Clowney there to anchor the defense in his absence.
Well, and look at how many more points do you think Atlanta scores if there's no J.J. Watt? Because Atlanta already, put on a show against them, and this is, I just don't. I mean, are we talking about
35, right?
Right. So are we talking about 38 instead? 40?
I mean, I
just don't think numbers wise it makes a huge.
Yeah, maybe not numbers wise, but he's like the captain.
Of course
he's like the catalyst up front.
Yeah, his hurries, his sacks, his his numbers are unreal. His rushes, his hurries on the quarterback, his everything is crazy. Even when he's not getting there to actually sack somebody, the pressure he's putting on that,
there's no replacing him.
There's
no replacing him at all.
No, there isn't. I just think with the defense down as much as it is already, I don't see it as a difference maker.
I just feel bad. He's a great player.
Absolutely.
Everybody loves watching him play.
Consistently hurt, though. Is this a point in time where in his somewhat young career that we're looking at a really short shelf life for J.J. Watt, like only a few years more? I mean,
take a few more hits like that.
There's a chance that he might even be like, dang, like this has been like 3 years in a row.
He just doesn't stay healthy. We've seen other guys leaving early or talk about leaving earlier due to this, just starting to wonder, maybe he thinks his shelf life is shorter too.
Injuries take an emotional toll too.
Of course.
Obviously, as you saw with Luck this time,
At
a certain point, you're like, dang, man, is this even worth it?
Well, with everything that's out now about concussions and these guys with these long-term physical problems, the shelf life of the average football player probably half of what it used to be. Unless you're Tom Brady, you can play for 20 years.
He already came back from a really, really, what did he have? A real bad, was it his back or was it his neck? He had a really bad injury that he already came back from.
Yeah.
That was surprising.
Everyone's bigger, stronger, faster. Collisions are just going to be more violent. It's just the trend. It's guys weren't hitting this hard back in the day. Down in the trenches, it wasn't the same thing.
That's what it is. It's scary.
It just wasn't the same thing. It's way different. And then when you had that big, strong guy that was that bull rusher, he wasn't coming at you with a 4.25 40 speed. He was coming at you, 4.6, and you might think, oh, that's not a huge difference, but it makes a big difference.
Guys are getting faster and faster and faster.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, someone that's the same weight, the same size, the same everything that can run that much faster hitting you. That's, it's crazy.
And that's a good point about David Clowney not being there.
Yeah.
That sucks for them.
Yeah, well, it hurts their defense.
Now your defense runs and goes through Whitney Merciless.
Yeah.
He's your anchor.
Yeah, but that's the point. It's not the defense that defines that team this year. It's strictly the offense.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for Will Fuller to come
all
back.
Watson,
Kevin
baby.
Stills, it's all Watson, D-Hop. Aiken's been a decent tight end.
Darren Fells has been a better tight end.
Yeah, the last couple weeks, sure, he's been great. Two games already with 2 touchdowns or more. It's crazy.
He's a good red zone target.
He is a huge red zone target for that team, and the way going forward, you're right. It's not going to be a defensive team like it was in years past with Deshaun Watson and his ability to spread the ball around.
Yeah, and make plays with one eye. Yeah,
when make plays with one eye. If they're going to be going to the playoffs, it's going to be because of him getting them there.
Speaking of, man, there was some amazing plays this weekend. That play, I was shocked. He got kicked in the eye, and he still throws a touchdown. Brissett made an amazing play to essentially win the game.
Damn near a safety. Instead, he completes the T.Y. Hilton.
Such a dart. That was a beautiful play.
Yeah, beautiful
play.
Teams that have not been impressive, though, the Cincinnati Bengals. This week just announced Andy Dalton will be riding the bench for the rest of the year. Ryan Finley slated to start.
It is officially the end of the Red Rifle. I don't even know if they'll ever.
Go ahead. I'm going to start with you.
I don't know if it ever was a real thing, but it's over. I don't think the move matters that much. They're 0-8. 0-8. Their season's already over. I guess they figure might as well take a look at this kid, see what he's got. It might give him a tiny bit of boost on offense, but their defense is just absolutely hideous. I mean, it doesn't even They're dust.
I think they're lost, man.
Yeah,
they are dust.
They are.
Bench the dude on his birthday. Come
Yeah,
on.
they did.
You can do Andy Dalton.
They
who's been
couldn't
your
even wait
franchise
one
quarterback.
day.
You could have
They
did it
couldn't
better
even
than
wait
that.
one day.
But
They said, "Happy birthday! Here's a mic."
they're dropping back. I believe they're the pass heaviest offense in the NFL this year. He's dropping back all the time. He's had multiple games throwing the ball over 50 times already. His arm could be tired. Who knows?
Yeah, their
But yeah,
offensive
at
line
one
is
in,
atrocious.
at 1-7, yeah, I don't mind. It's the bye week. Give it a shot. See what you got.
They're 0-8, not 1-7.
Oh, I'm sorry. 0-8. You're right. Yeah, it's crazy. Give them a shot. They're not doing anything. Nothing's going to change with whoever you have in there this year. I think the thing that could be to look at here is fantasy implications. Dalton has been very inaccurate this year. I believe there is a stat somewhere that for Auden Tate, he has the most off-target passes thrown to him already in all of the NFL this year. And he didn't really become a household name until a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and then what does that mean for Tyler Boyd, who, yeah, you look at it and you're like, this is great. He's getting like 19 targets a game. And that's an exaggeration, but I think he's averaging like 11 targets a game. But if he's getting 4 or 5 of them that are already off target from this guy, I don't think going to see what you have with Riley isn't bad. And this is a guy who threw it downfield a lot with Tech. He can do this.
The only issue I see is that if they didn't make any offensive line changes along with that, I mean, the reason why Dalton was inaccurate was because he was getting hurried. He was getting crushed. Absolutely crushed. Their offensive line is absolutely hideous.
This is a team that hasn't recovered from that 49er blowout in week 2.
Well, it's a team that hasn't really recovered in a couple of years.
Yeah.
They've got to make some big changes and make them now.
Marvin Lewis left that team, and he left that team in shambles because they were so close to doing something. I think it was 3 years ago when Vontaze Burfict single-handedly cost them that game. That was going to be their first playoff win in a long time.
Yeah.
And they had a hell of a team. They were very talented. But Marvin Lewis's lack of discipline did them in, and ultimately it spilled over to the mess right now.
Yeah.
And Andy Dalton is not what he once was. He was, a third-round pick that flourished in spite of
they're set for a whole rebuild. They're set for a full rebuild.
Yeah, it's not just that, but off-field issues too. I believe was it Mark Walton was drafted there, and he had those issues with all the arrests that he had. Now he's in the Dolphins, and Adam Gase has him there straight and narrow. Not Adam Gase. Gase was there, but now Flores has him, on the straight and narrow there now. And there were other issues too. Obviously, AJ Green getting hurt. There's a lot of stuff, but yeah, that team fell apart. There was no discipline, because they had other off-field issues too, and obviously Vontaze Burfict has just become, a piece of trash, as a human at least, doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to see. I don't want to see him back in the NFL.
Yeah, so there was a total lack of discipline there in Cincinnati under Lewis. You're absolutely correct.
It feels like to me Vontaze Burfict should be clotheslined by Donovan Darius a couple times.
maybe stomped down by Dominic Sue.
Yeah.
So I love football, right? I love the NFL, and I don't see any need for a guy like that. He has an absolute disregard for everybody's health. And I know that they hit each other hard and stuff, but at the end of the day, they have a respect for each other. You know what I mean? Like they're not out there trying to kill each other.
1 second. You forgot one. You got to get body slammed by Albert Hainsworth too.
Perfect. Yeah. That's perfect.
Stomped on by Sue, maybe or something.
All right, I'm done with the Cincinnati Reds. So we got to move on to something
Cincinnati
else.
Reds.
Them too. Nick Senzel. That's the only name we care about on the actual Reds.
Let's stick on teams like the
Bengals,
the Dolphins, the Jets, etc. Nobody made a move at the deadline yesterday after what was a flurry of moves the week before with Sanu and Emmanuel Sanders and Diggs. There was no moves made yesterday with the exception of a salary dump of Talib over to the Dolphins. Essentially, we think because they want to free up money to sign Ramsey.
Yeah, and the Dolphins just purchased a pick, which solid.
Yeah.
They want as many picks as possible. They were in a full rebuild mode, and I guess this draft is stacked with talent across the board.
Yeah, and picks are always valuable anyways. And I think really what it is, though, we saw a lot of these trades get done prior to the deadline. Teams weren't rushing.
No.
And then all these guys that were being mentioned, you're hearing teams say, well, we'll trade them, but we want this and this and that. And, were you really looking to trade the guy if you were pretty much saying, like, okay, we'll give him
I'll ask Jamal Adams about that one.
But you need to give us the world in return. And guys, like you mentioned, Diggs, I think after Minnesota started to get it right, pass the ball. He got happy. The team realized they can coexist together. That wasn't going to happen.
I don't think they were ever going to.
Yeah, I don't think they were ever going to trade Diggs. And Lev Bell, who was really taking that on. They paid a lot for him, and there are some teams that could use some running back help. But do you have enough salary cap to be able to take that on? You're giving up a first rounder and maybe more?
Is this why a team didn't trade for a player like, say, a Nick Foles that commands that high salary, but could be an instant game changer once he comes back from that broken collarbone? I believe Nick Foles on the Bears gets him into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the injury is the tough thing. You want to come back and see what he does. You want to make sure he's healthy. I probably wouldn't have traded for the $88 million man who's injured right now. But yeah, it could help.
Hero.
Yeah, who is a hero, yes. But we also, for being this hero, his sample size is decent, but it's not massive.
He's never played a full season.
Yeah, I think the job is still his in Jacksonville when he comes back, but no, it's not a commodity I would have paid for what the asking price probably would have been. No way.
I think what we saw from the trade deadline was that a lot of those trades were planned out. The NFL isn't like, let's per se, the NBA. They just do a snap trade, right?
Yeah.
The NFL doesn't do snap trades. A lot like the trade for Sanders that was planned out.
Well, because
Ramsey that was planned out like weeks in advance. They're not gonna panic and trade for.
You said the NBA, the Major League Baseball does the same thing. There's always whoppers of deals at the deadline, buyers and sellers, and guys you can plug and play. To me, the difference is, I'm sorry, I'll let you get to your point in a second. The difference to me is it's harder to trade in the NFL because unlike baseball and basketball, it's hard to buy into how a team operates on either side of the ball.
A lot more goes into it.
You go in MLB, you get traded. You in the NBA, you get traded. You can plug and play the next day.
You play right away.
It's not the case in the NFL because everyone has a different offensive, defensive game plan that takes weeks.
As you can see from Sanu, it's going to take a few weeks.
Same with Manuel Sanders. Yeah. That's going to take a few weeks. But is there anyone that you guys were sure was going to get traded but ended up not getting traded?
Not really. I just want to say more than anything, I feel the opposite of what you guys were saying with this. I feel like for the NFL, this was a ton of trades that got done. Maybe nothing day of significant. Right. But, man, this doesn't happen in the NFL. I had a blast at this trade deadline, and I hope it stays like this. I actually really enjoyed the activity that generally doesn't exist at the NFL trade deadline. I maybe thought someone would get traded, but there was nobody I thought had to move. So, it really didn't surprise me.
I was surprised the Bills did not trade for a wide receiver because I feel like they're a receiver away from being.
Yeah.
I was shocked the Eagles didn't make a move. I mean, their secondary
is
horrendous.
I heard a lot of talk with a lot of those. And, would I have been surprised that teams pulled the trigger and made those trades? No, of course not. But, no, it really doesn't shock me. There's been so much activity already. Like what was done, kind of.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Well, in that case, let's talk about Week 8. I'm going to start with you, Jeremy. What did you get out of Week 8?
I've been saying this a lot this year. I'm going to smash this home again. It's parity in the NFL. It's one of the reasons I love the NFL. Landscape changes all the time. You have teams we thought were out of it that could still be in a playoff hunt. And it still exists there, other than the tippity top and the very bottom. We're getting a lot of high scoring, which is fun. Officiating hasn't been too bad, so I'm appreciating a little bit of that improvement so far this year. When we get into the fantasy aspect of what we did there, I got a few more takeaways from this, but it's really the parity of the NFL, and it's really the reason I love it. And it was there again in full force.
How about you?
What did I take away from Week 8? There wasn't very many upsets.
No, it was pretty much chalk. Yeah,
it was pretty much chalk. Like all the picks that I made, I think they all were right. I even actually somehow picked the Eagles because it's just desperation. But
I'd like to discuss that for a minute. Was anybody surprised how dominant the Eagles were this week?
Yes, and I think it's not just that. And maybe chalk teams won, but they were like Cleveland. If they don't have those 3 turnovers right away, looked half decent against New England.
Nick Chubb ran yard on them.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, the Bills, they just got. Who would have thought? Like, I didn't see that coming. I really didn't. I thought they were better than that.
I didn't think they would get dominated like that. I thought it was the Eagles' desperation that would win that game. I didn't.
There were 3 plays in that game that made the difference to me. The first was Josh Allen and his, excuse my language, but his fucking inaccuracies and incompetence of protecting the ball.
Yeah.
Again, fumbles 3 times. He loses one of them. That turns into a touchdown. It kills all the momentum that Buffalo had.
Yeah.
And it leaves the Eagles in the game to come out in the second half and say, here you go, Miles.
Yeah.
Run this ball. And they run it all the way for a touchdown.
It's crazy. Yeah, 65 yards and he gets hurt.
No, I was actually more shocked at the Bills' defense. I mean, I had put them up there as one of the dominant defenses, and man, they just I don't know if they didn't show up. I don't know what happened.
Here's the whole thing. There's still, as far as I'm concerned, when I said last week, that game against Miami exposed the Bills. It exposed the Bills, unfortunately for them.
Yeah. Well, I even talked about, though, like a little bit, I talked about how much I like the Saints. Yeah, they won, what was it, 31-9 over Arizona?
But for
Arizona
3/4, the game was tight.
For 45 minutes. I really think outside of that tippity top, there's so many teams like week to week that have chances against some of these teams, and some teams that just have like.
And there's one this week, which I will.
Dr. Jekyll and Hyde with some of these.
There's one team next week I think has a great shot at pulling off beating the top 2. We'll discuss that later on.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it.
Okay.
I think we're all on the same page with it though, but I think you're gonna love it. I know you're gonna love it. But now.
Matt Schaub was shocking.
460 yards. Good Lord.
Shout out to Big Ray.
Shout out to Big Ray.
This guy,
so me and
Spoon, we play in the league. We play 2 games a week. And somehow, like 5 minutes before the Pats game, or 5 minutes before the game started, the guy takes out, sits Tom Brady, and inserts Matt Schaub. And me and Spoon are like, yes. No,
he goes off. That's tilting. That's full.
460 yards from a backup.
We didn't
When's
realize.
the last time Matt Schaub started a game?
It's been a while. I think it was a backup at Baltimore.
Oh my God!
But ultimately, what we overlooked one aspect of that. The Seahawks leave bad teams in games. The Seahawks let people score on them.
They do.
And if I thought back to week 1 against Cincinnati and week 2 against Pittsburgh, I would have remembered. Oh yeah.
It's not even that they let
them. And it's the same Seahawks team that got dominated by the Saints' defense and special teams.
Yeah, that secondary is very, very, very porous.
Yeah,
very porous.
It is. While we're talking about some general NFL stuff, I have a question I have to ask you too.
Yeah.
You just brought up Joe Flacco. Did he get benched or injured? Because it was the day after he badmouthed Denver. Then we hear about this injury that just popped up, and now Brandon Allen is starting.
I think
he got benched.
Yeah,
I think he got benched.
In a roundabout type of way.
Yeah,
I think he got benched.
He wasn't wrong though, because
he wasn't wrong.
They could have won that game.
Yeah. Right. I'm not saying he was wrong about that. I just wanted to it was just funny to me.
It was
like there's no talk of any injury, no talk of nothing, and then all of a sudden he comes up hurt after he says this stuff, and Brandon Allen's your starter because Drew Lock is still on injured reserve.
To me, it was like he's a new coach. He's like, I'm not tolerating this guy talking bad about my bad coaching.
Yeah.
Nope. Because that's exactly what it was.
Fangio's defense, he's not an offensive specialist. He's a defensive genius, though, but he does not know the first thing about an offense. Him and Rex Ryan.
But, I mean, what Flacco said was he probably shouldn't have said that because he's the starting quarterback, and usually the starting quarterback is not supposed to, go against the coach. But he said exactly right. We're 2-6. Why are you not going for it, bro? What are you doing? We have nothing. We actually legitimately have nothing to lose.
They don't have anything to lose. What are they playing for?
Nothing.
They're not going to win the division.
Nothing at all.
They're eons away from being a wild card team.
Yeah, they have nothing to lose at all.
Even the Dolphins went for 2 against the Redskins. Now, the
play
play was broken as shit, but at least they tried to win there, I'll give them some credit.
Now, there's another take I want to take. Let's switch gears a little bit. There's another take I have about what I learned this past week. We had the privilege of, because of local coverage, we had the absolute pleasure of watching the Jets this week. But the pleasure is not watching the Jets, let's be honest. I was watching Sensei Minshew in action. I was elated that game was on TV just to watch Gardner Minshew. And he looked amazing.
I didn't get to watch that game. I'm not watching the Jets play any sport.
It was Sensei Minshew on the field.
Well, I'll watch Sensei.
Karate chopping the defense up, carving them up for 3 touchdowns.
I'll be watching this Sunday at 9.
I'll
waking
see
up
you at
to watch
9:30.
that. Yeah, I'll be
Tea and crumpets, baby.
I'm enjoying NFL in Europe. I wish they do them all where they started at 1 o'clock local time here, but I'm actually enjoying it. I'm glad it's going well for them. I think the three of us are on opposite ends with Minshew, or at least you and I. I think he's getting benched when Foles comes back, and it's not that Minshew hasn't been good. It's just Foles did nothing to lose the job. You brought him in to be the guy.
You know why Foles is getting his job back? Because of his price tag.
Yeah, and they're in a playoff hunt. I think. Well, I don't think they go back to that.
His legend.
I think that they feel like if Minshew would be the guy in a playoff hunt, I do feel like they'd stick with him. But I still really feel like Foles is the guy. I think he's going after that. And we're talking about an offense that runs through Fournette anyways, you know. So
maybe there's a chance they bring Foles back and then they have him on a short leash. If he doesn't, if he comes back and doesn't play well,
he's going to have a short leash, knowing what you have in the wings.
Yeah, you got to put him.
Let me ask both of you this. I'm going to ask you first, Jeremy, and then you give me your answer, Joe. But this is a very big point I need to bring up here. Is this going to be Rob Johnson, Doug Flutie version 2 20 years later? Let's just be honest here with that one. Yeah. That one hits home a little bit. So,
you know, it could be. I mean, you look at like last year in Tampa Bay when they couldn't figure it out with Fitzmagic and Winston going back and forth all the time. And for fantasy numbers, I think those two combined around their own were like a top 3 fantasy football quarterback. You know, it's frustrating. And I personally am not an NFL quarterback, obviously, but if I was, I wouldn't want that type of pressure, that type of feeling that, like, okay, who's next? What's going to happen? Can I go? Like,
it's not good for a team.
Not a good feeling.
It's not even good for a team. It's really not good for a team.
No, not at all. You don't know one week to the next. I think morale hurts, you know. But I don't think
that can also divide a locker room, too.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I'm not Doug Marrone.
Yeah.
And I want to be in his shoes right now, having to stay up chain smoking Marlboros, trying to figure out who's going to be my guy going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice thing it's
a good luxury
to have, but like he was just saying that when the Bucs were doing that, that's terrible for a team.
Yeah.
That divides the locker room. It just
do you know why
brings anxiety? It brings anxiety.
You know who presented that situation and why that situation was the way it was? Because Jameis decided, I'm going to go grope an Uber driver. The league's not going to find out. Oh, they found out.
Yeah.
Your ass is sitting for 3 games.
Yeah. Well, and he just wasn't getting it together at first under that offense. Now he's pulled it together with Arians and has figured out how to do something. And having 2 top tier receivers doesn't hurt.
Being in a contract year helps matters too.
Oh, of course it does. Yeah. Absolutely it does. He knows what he's playing for, you know? Yeah. You're absolutely going to try to straighten it out when $100 million is on the line.
I mean, here's the whole thing. I'll go back to Jacksonville. What's not to say that if Jameis struggles, Tampa Bay doesn't trade for one of those 2?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think either of them were getting traded.
Next year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Next year, Foles, I think, would be – I'm talking about Foles coming back as a starter. But I feel like if I am the Jags, I would trade Foles and his price tag and keep Minshew for nothing. That's what I would try to do, you know, but – who knows?
Next season, you have to give Minshew serious consideration for this job.
Sure. I just think this year we're going to Foles to start at least and then go from there.
I would say so, too. Yeah. I would say they kind of have the price tag that dictates it. Like, damn, we paid this guy $50 million. I mean, he got hurt, first quarter?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even get a chance to do anything. He didn't even get a chance.
He got hurt on a touchdown pass to Chark.
He did.
Yeah. And it's funny because coming into that, the whole Gardner Minshew thing was that meme where was it against who was it that just blew him up against the Ravens? And that was like the big meme in the preseason was Minshew just getting laid out, you know? And now here he is, you know, not the laughing stock, but a real quarterback. So
that dude got up from that hit and said, you guys are going to do it like this? Fuck y'all. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to show y'all. That hit won't be up. I'm a tough son of a bitch now.
That's it.
I mean, he didn't come out of nowhere. I believe he had
he led the nation in passing in Washington State last year.
No, he didn't come out of nowhere, and he's a solid prospect. Well, he's more than a prospect. He's a solid quarterback. There's no denying that.
He's more of a high prospect than Kyler Murray is at this point.
Yeah, but in a much better situation too.
I just love the way that he does not hold back. Like,
Yeah.
If you need him to do a drive to win the game, like, hey, you can do it.
Yeah, he's not afraid. You know, he's a few turnovers, which I'd like to see come down a little bit. But
that's everybody. Every young quarterback is turnovers.
No, I agree. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's.
Didn't Peyton Manning lead league interceptions his rookie year?
He did. He had a ton of interceptions.
Yeah. I'm not saying. I'm just saying I'd like to see it come down. I'm not saying it's obviously he's.
Everybody would like to see it come down. Yeah. I'm sure Gardner Minshew would love to see it come down.
Yeah, I think it's the fumbles more than anything, though.
It is the fumbles. He only has 2 interceptions.
Yeah, it's the fumbles that have me more worried about that. The interception's no big deal, but the fumbles, handling that ball, that's got to be a priority.
Let's say this: Christmas time's coming up, right?
Yeah.
I did get Gardner Minshew a present.
What's
I got him a free week at the Stephen Ridley School of Fumbling.
Stephen Ridley.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. Now we just need to get Nelson Aguilar to show him how to drop passes.
Yeah.
The funniest thing of this whole season was that guy in the news talking about.
That was great.
He was like saving babies. Yeah. He's like, I can't catch. You know, if Aguilar could catch him, you know, like, he's getting blasted on news.
Yeah. The Philly guys love their Eagles, man.
Yes, they do.
Now, one more point about Week 8. Was anyone else here surprised as I was that the Chiefs held in with the Packers to the end ultimately?
No, I wasn't surprised.
With a backup quarterback, that is.
No, I wasn't surprised. They got so many weapons.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I think Moore is actually a competent backup. Like you said, tons of weapons. You know, there's no high-powered offense. No, he's not. But you still have Kelsey. You still have Tyreek Hill. You have Sammy Watkins. You have, Mecole Hardman. You have, a couple of running backs that are competent. McCoy got benched after the fumble. Damian Williams finally looked like 2018 Damian Williams this last week. No, I think it was more surprising the Packers end of the ball, those running backs. I figured one of them would fall off eventually, but holy cow, do they stay hot. It's unreal.
Those 2 running backs are amazing.
I wonder what the landscape of the team will look like once Davante Adams is back. So who knows? He practiced today, but no helmet on, no contact drills. So we'll have to see if he's back.
In my opinion, I think he's a week
away. There'll be no more fanboys of Allen Lazard after Davante Adams comes back. I can tell you that.
But it's just tough. Like, it's a crapshoot with him there or without him there. I don't know to start Kumaro, Lazard, MVS, or Allison. Like, throw them in a bag and choose. Like, it's not.
Basically, everybody not named Jimmy Graham, right?
Yeah, and even Jimmy Graham. Like, I mean, I like him, but he's just a red zone target at this point in his career. He's not even. A reliable receiver.
He's not the New Orleans Saints, Jimmy Graham.
No, or even the Seattle Seahawks.
He wasn't anything in Seattle, though.
No, but I don't even think he's that.
Aaron Rodgers never really locks on it. Anyways, he spreads the ball no matter what.
Yeah, except to Adams. He was locked onto Adams. Yeah, and Jordy when he was there.
And Randall Cobb when he was there. Except for the last 2 years, Randall Cobb fell off.
A little bit. He was always like the slot guy. He got some run, but yeah.
Anyone else miss James Jones like I do? Another one.
He was a reliable hand for a decade there with Green Bay, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. You two wanted to have a discussion about fantasy. And
strategy.
You had some strategies. This is, I'll be honest, this is not my expertise. You guys are the gurus, though. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you guys a 10-minute window now to discuss anything you want about building a team, championship strategy, how to do trades, what to look out for, how to build your team. If you're a team that's like, let's say 4-4 right now, you're 3-5, and you're looking to make that push, what do you do? If you're ahead and you have assets but you can improve, what do you do? So who wants to start this discussion?
I'll let you start.
And I'm going to skip back to what you guys
talk. So what is it? It's week 9, right?
It is. We're going into week 9. Yes.
This is like this is the time where like you realize if you're in it or you're out of it. Because if you're even at 3-5, 4-4, you're still in it for the most part in most leagues. If you're like 1-6, 1-7, whatever.
What about 2-6? Outside chance?
It depends. Like
it depends on the top of the league.
Yeah, in our league, maybe we have a lot of 5-3 teams. So are you out of it? No, but it's not looking likely. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So,
you get to.
So it depends on the trade deadline. If you're at the bottom of your league and you're not making any trades, you're just watching your season go. You might as well just hand over the money right now. Hand over the money right now, because if you're sitting at 2-6 or you're at the bottom of your league and you don't make any kind of move, I mean, you're just literally watching your season go away. So my suggestion is, if you are 3-5, 4-4, and you're like, you need a wide receiver. You just have to look at your roster. And you could, if you played long enough, you could tell, do I have a team that's going to make a run? Because it doesn't matter if you make the playoffs. It matters you're trying to win a championship. You're not just trying to make the playoffs. You don't get paid to make the playoffs. You get paid to win championships. So you want to look at your team. You want to make sure you try to make a move. 100%. So for example, in our league, I was 1-5 2 weeks ago. I was thinking if I don't make a move now, I'm going to start looking for, we play in a keeper league, so that kind of changes the two, because if you're, at the bottom of your league, you want to try to scoop somebody, a young guy that you can keep for next year at a good value. That's a good move. But, yeah, make moves. That's my thing. I can't stand watching somebody just watch their team go into Dustville. It just doesn't make sense to me at all.
The guy's starting Deshaun Hamilton every week. Is he headed straight to Dustville?
I think he gave up. Yeah, I guess so. If Deshaun Hamilton is your wide receiver too, you're done. You're done.
I'd say so.
Oh man, I could probably talk about this for hours on end, but I have a few points I want to touch on.
No, not probably.
Yeah,
could.
So
that's a lot.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to do is, since we are getting close to the playoffs, the stretch run, handcuffs for key running backs. Get Alexander Madison. Get Raquel Anderson. Go ahead and pick up Raquel Armstead. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Go ahead and pick up Ty Montgomery. If you get Jamal Adams cheap for Aaron Jones,
Jamal Williams.
Jesus. I'm sorry. If you could get all these guys.
Oh, you really wanted Jamal Adams to get traded, didn't you?
Jamal Williams is actually a very, very good scoop. He's a good
I actually saw him in one of my 10-team leagues available as a free agent.
Yeah, he's a
great
scoop
player. That motherfucker, man.
This time of year, I'm not necessarily a proponent for getting them early on, but get Tony Pollard, because if Zeke goes down, you have a top 5 running back. You have a plug and play. So this time of year, when you're making a playoff push, if you are 4-4, 5-3, especially if, let's say, you have the luxury of being 8-0, 7-1, 6-2, a lock for the playoff, get them. Because what good is having Peyton Barber, Robbie Anderson, whoever it is on your bench, and you're like, I don't start these guys. Well, it doesn't have to be Robbie Anderson, but if you have a guy you're looking at, you're like, I never started this guy all year, and you're already a lock for the playoffs, this is someone you're not going to play, go get your handcuff. Don't make that mistake and then have to hope you're able to claim Pollard later, because unless you have a lot of free agent budget left, if you play in a league with Fab, or you have a high priority waiver pick, you're not getting them, and now you're screwed. So make those moves. To further a little bit of what Joe said, it's not always about having to get trades done and things like that, but it is about being active. It's about going out and reaching out to other owners. It's about being willing to trade. I talk to so many guys about trades, and one of the first things they'll say to me is like, oh, I'll trade with you, but this, and this guy are off limits. I don't want to talk to you. Be active. Be flexible. Don't fall in love with your team, because you're going to go down with it.
That's exactly what my point was.
I want to touch on that.
Yeah.
Because I remember initially, in our league that we're in together, I said Chubb was off limits.
Yeah.
And then I changed my tune on that. And I feel like I got something out of it. I feel maybe I got ripped off a little. But for Matt Breida and Jarvis Landry, the fact I own Coleman, I feel like Breida was a necessity.
Yeah. And you look at Chubb and you say, okay, well, Hunt's back. Maybe he's not doing everything, but maybe he takes a 30%, snap count. Who knows? But
this is a guy that was leading.
I feel like a fatal flaw for a lot of, I've played, I don't know how many leagues. I've played a million leagues.
Yeah.
I feel like a fatal flaw that I see in people is stubbornness. Stubbornness, it just doesn't make sense. Like, we don't actually own these players, right?
Yeah.
You're in it to try to win a chip, right? You're in it to try to win some money. You're not in it to, you don't actually own these guys. You know what I mean?
And understand, I'm not saying that you have to trade Julio Jones. You have to trade Deshaun Watson. You have to trade Christian McCaffrey. But if someone comes to you and then they wind up just giving you some insane trade and it benefits your team, do it. Be flexible. Don't fall in love with your team, because that's when you're going to look up and you're going to be like, oh, I'm 2-6. What happened? Like,
So,
I loved my team at the draft.
This is a great example, right? I was 1-5 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
I decided I own Cook. I own Dalvin Cook. He was literally like,
of course.
He was like literally like my only good player.
Yeah.
I said, this is the time. This is the moment. This is the moment of the season where I either just like say I'm gonna look towards next year because it's a keeper league, or you say, you know what, I'm gonna try to make that move that's gonna put me back in it, and that's exactly what I did. I traded Cook to Jeremy. We made a sick trade. I traded Cook and I got James White, Diggs, and Jacobs, and he got Madison, Boyd, and Cook. It was a fair trade. It changed my whole season. It literally changed my whole season. My team is way better now. Now I went into the trade having Boyd as my wide receiver 1. Now I have Kupp as my wide receiver 1 and Diggs as my wide receiver 2. My team is way better. You got it. Sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah.
It's hard to part with a guy like Cook, but when you're at 1-5, you better do it.
Yeah, it's just about being active. And the other thing that I want to touch on as far as that goes too, if you are out of it, and not every league is like this, but like the league that Joe, myself, and Spoon play in, we do have keepers. And it's like a modified type of keeper league where you keep a player for around better value. So like, for example, I have James Conner. Last year I took him in the 15th round, so I kept him for a 14th rounder this year. Next year I'll keep him for a 13th rounder. But if you are out of it, go out there and try to make a trade to get a guy that you can keep. Maybe come and talk to an owner like me who's trying to make a push and say, hey, I'll give you, I don't know, Leonard Fournette, or I'll give you Christian McCaffrey or somebody for James Conner, because keeping McCaffrey when you're 2-6 doesn't help your team. But now you trade me a guy I need. Now you have Conner next year for a 13th rounder. You're off to a great start.
Mm-hmm.
So that can help too. Now I understand not everybody's league is like that. We're talking about ours specifically here. But look at those things in your league. Take advantage of those things. Understand league rules. Do you have IR spots? Understand values of what it is. Like, our league isn't a standard quarterback league. We actually get 5 points for a touchdown, and we have a quarter point for completions and a loss of a quarter point for incompletions. And I've talked to guys that didn't know that. So even just understanding that, doing research and looking. Joe and I were talking earlier, there's an app we both love called the Fantasy Life app. No, we don't work for them or anything. This is just us endorsing it. They don't pay us. There's nothing like that. But it's awesome. It gives you snap counts. It gives you, dropbacks for players. It gives you all this stuff.
It
gives you all
on
these
injuries
trends.
every single day.
Injuries constantly, trades that could be going off, sits and starts, all this stuff. And not only that, there's a great interactive forum with all sorts of other fantasy owners that you can bounce things off of and talk. I'm not saying that you have to dedicate 10, 12, 15 hours a week like some of us might be doing for fantasy, but even if you take a little bit of time to go in there and learn that and be active, that's going to help too. I play with too many guys in too many leagues that you can tell just don't care. They're not making waiver wire moves. They're not trying to make trades. They're starting the same guys. You can tell they just look at what ESPN or Yahoo says expected point value and starts the guy that's the highest point value,
That's not going to work.
Yeah, sometimes, you look at it and you're like, man, oh man, that's low. They got this crazy matchup. What's going on? And it's just not all cookie cutters, not everybody is, if it was all cookie cutters, we'd all have teams that look just like what Mike Clay told us to draft. And I love Mike Clay and those guys at ESPN. They're great. But my point is, it's not like that. You have to make those decisions, be active, and making those choices for yourself. Too many guys don't do that.
I'm just an absolute opposite fan of going down with my team. Like, I might have drafted that guy or whatever, but I'm willing to go for the run. I have like 18 championships, right? The reason why I have all these championships is because I was always willing to make a trade or make a move or bench this guy and not start this guy. And you got to be active, like to try to win it. You can't don't be stubborn. That's my key.
You picked up 3 starters for one. Yeah, you were starting Boyd, but you got Diggs as an upgrade. You got 2 running backs that you're starting instead of the one here. So, yeah, you gave up the best player in the trade, but you improved your team in a lot of fronts. And some people might look at that and be like, well, I'm never giving up Cook, or I'm not doing this. And I'm not saying you have to. Don't do it unless it makes sense for you and unless you like it. But you have to be flexible and at least consider that, If a couple of years ago when Gurley was just amazing, if he was your only piece, you could have got a boatload for him. Why not trade Gurley and get back like a low-end RB1 and a top-end wide receiver 1 and have 2 great pieces for this one piece and try and improve your team, or get a 3-for-1 deal and try to get it done.
It's just like we don't actually own these guys.
Yeah.
Be flexible. Be flexible. That's how you're gonna win.
Yeah.
Go ahead and be stubborn. You're gonna be sitting at the bottom of the standings, sitting there with amazing Dalvin Cook, but you didn't make the playoffs. You just wasted all that time, wasted all that season for no reason.
Late in the year too, I don't recommend trying to draft like this. I've seen some guys that try to draft based on strength of schedule, but we don't know a lot early on. Frankly, these teams change all the time.
Yeah, everything's
some
always
teams
changing.
a few teams are what we thought they were, but not all of them. It's always a different, thing. So, but now, like at the end of this year, I think you can make moves based on that. Like if you are streaming quarterback, look at Sam Darnold and what he's playing for these next 6, maybe 7 weeks if we include the Ravens. We're talking about a guy now who plays the Dolphins twice, the Giants, the Redskins, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Oakland Raiders, and then the Ravens, who, defense is improving but doesn't scare the crap out of you. Like, that's a huge thing to go at. Maybe you target Robbie Anderson and pick him up cheap. Maybe you go to a Lev Bell owner and you try to say, like, hey, David Montgomery just had a really good week. Maybe I can float you David Montgomery and a wide receiver and get Lev Bell. Great. I think it's an awesome play. Look at that stuff and stay active with that. So I think strength of schedule this late into the season, when we're talking about making a run into the playoffs and then actually getting into fantasy playoffs, I think that's a really big thing too.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it can be tough the other way around. Like we're talking a big thing in fantasy today, the last couple weeks has been injuries, and let's go with Arizona Cardinals specifically. If you have a David Johnson, you're holding on to David Johnson. He's David Johnson. He might even play this week. But you're talking about a team that has a really brutal schedule. They play the Niners, then I think Tampa Bay, and the Niners again. And Tampa Bay has a pretty good run defense too.
Tampa Bay has the number 1 rush defense.
Yeah, so like Chase Edmonds is dust right now. You're not doing anything with him. You can't drop him. You don't even need him. But Kenyon Drake, I see a lot of guys making priority waiver claims for him. If you can get him, okay, but he might not be there for long. And again, the schedule of these next 3 weeks is really, really tough. Like I wouldn't even be playing him in any of these games.
Also at this point in the season, you can at this point in the season, the landscape is kind of setting. So like now you can start to look ahead. Like in the beginning of the season, you can't really look ahead because you don't know what team is what. Now at this point, you know what team is what, and you're able to, like, even if you don't have that good of a record, you still should be looking ahead. Yeah. But I also like the week to. I mean, the NFL is a week-to-week league, and fantasy to me is a week-to-week game. Yeah. I mean, you should sell out every week. I mean, at this point, I'm in playoff mode from like 2 weeks ago. Like I'm going to sell out every week to try to get a win, because if not, I'm out. So.
Yeah, when we're done, me and him, like, we're going to discuss, because there's a deal I want to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. I'm afraid. I want to make sure I still keep my head above water in contention, because I'm winning games.
Yeah.
But if it comes down to tiebreakers and points, I'm going to be left out, and I know that.
Yeah, points are going to be a little tough. That's another thing with leagues, like we had talked about. Understand the settings and the rules in your league. They vary. Check them out. You go to Yahoo, you go to Fantasy, you go to ESPN. You can find the settings. Look at them, because now Brian's talking about, hey, I'm up here for this, but if I have a tie, I understand it's points, and I might be on the outside looking in. So he knows wins are even more of a premium for him than they might be for someone else that has 200 points more than he does, because they'll have tiebreakers. So know those rules. They're very important. I think we hammered home a lot on our fantasy points. So unless you have more to add or you wanted to put something in, I think we're free to move on too.
I mean, pretty much. I mean, I'm sure one of you touched on the upcoming schedules. You need to look at per player to see where the matchups are in their favor, because you got a stud who's about to hit a wall with matchups, like, say,
especially now, because
Mark Ingram.
At this point in the season, the matchups are set. You know what I'm saying? At the beginning of the year, you don't know who's good. You don't know who defense is good. By now, it's almost like it's almost set, so you can look at it.
I'm going to have a bonus question for you. After this, I want to get into next week's slate, and we'll make our picks and our analysis here. My question is, here's my wild card. We talked about the 49ers' upcoming gauntlet, right? After the Arizona sandwich with Seattle in the middle.
Yeah.
You got that 3-game stretch, and that's the end of the regular season and the beginning of the playoffs all together. Do you see the running game there? You said you see it hitting a wall. Do you see hitting a wall based strictly on weeks 12, 13, and 14?
I do. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be able to run the Saints. The Tampa Bay
Packers
sucks. Tampa Bay
Packers,
sucks.
Ravens, Saints.
They have the #1 rush defense somehow. I don't know how. I don't even know who's on. I don't even know who's on their team, but I just know they have the #1 rush defense.
There's a couple of gentlemen up there. A guy named Shaq Baird was having a career year. You have, God, I just had his name and I just forgot it.
Well, a large part of it too is that you can pass all over them as well.
You can, yeah.
Right. Quan Alexander, he's the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. They have a great pass rush.
And they have Pierre-Paul back.
They have a good front seven there on defense. They have a great defensive line, and they get after the run game. But I think the Niners are still going to get it done. That's their identity. Are they going to scale back a little bit? Sure, I definitely think they will. But I think that's still their identity. I think they still win through defense in the run game. So I don't think it's going to disappear. I think they'll still. So
if you have Coleman or Breida, your assets to you?
Look, my biggest concern with Coleman and Breida and that Niners backfield is still the same. It's that it's a timeshare. It's that Coleman got this last week done on not that many touches.
12 carries.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is, but I've seen a column, I think it's Mike Clay that does it for ESPN, where it's talked about expected fantasy points, OFP or EFP, whatever it is. And it couldn't have been that much for Coleman this week with the touches that he got when he got out-snapped, out-carried by Breida. That has always been my concern, and I think they have a viable backfield that can support two runners. But it's not scheduled.
If you're like me, I own both of them in fantasy, and I start both of them.
Yep.
Is that a bad idea, or is it a good strategy?
Well, with Breida digged up, it might not be a good idea. But if they're healthy,
assuming they're both healthy,
I don't mind that. I don't mind that strategy. I think that's a team that you can do that with. I really don't. It's like if you have Jamal Williams, let me get it right this time, and free Aaron Jones.
Plays on defense.
Yeah,
you can play both.
And free Aaron Jones. Yeah, you can play them both. I'm not saying you have to, but yes, you certainly can.
How about like a Connor Samuels when they're both healthy?
I got to see what's going on there. A little bit more up in the air at this point. We don't even
Singletary?
know. Yeah, you can, but not. The problem is I don't think they're as good as the other options. But yes, you can.
No,
and I still think Singletary, who outsnapped Gore by a wide margin this week.
Yeah.
It could, some of it could be game flow, but I think Singletary is going to eventually get the better of it.
I think so too. I just don't know.
Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders.
No. Sony Michel, James White.
Yes, you can play them both. Yeah, that one you can play them both. I have more faith in James White because I think the floor is there. Where Michelle, if he just gave you 4 points 1 week, I wouldn't be shocked. But
he's done that.
You can play them both. You can absolutely play them both.
What about you? What's your take on the two running backs from the same team playing them if their volume's there?
Well, for the Niners, it's great because their running game is amazing. But the only thing I worry about is when they run into a team like a great defense with the Saints, and then they both get shut down. Then what do? You know what I mean? And then both your RB1 and RB2 are going to get 7 points or something out of them. That's a worry for a playoff game.
But you
fantasy playoff.
You could start though. You can have your RB1 and RB2 be on different teams and both have them be shut down as well.
That's the way I look at it. Yeah.
Now, if they're up against a really good run defense, would I maybe only start one of them and take my chances elsewhere somewhere? Yeah, maybe.
If you have the depth, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like saying that, like, yeah, anybody could get shut out anywhere. So that's always a possibility.
Well, it's the same philosophy I have too, because as you both know, I have two startable tight ends, and I've been playing one out of the flex every week since I've had both of them.
Yeah.
And he pointed out to me earlier, he's like, well, what happens when they both dud? How often is that going to happen?
Probably not too often with those two good ones.
Those two matchups, in all fairness, were tough.
Yeah. And the only other thing you can do, and I know you've been active with trying to do that, is shop one of those pieces. Like we talked about staying active and doing that. You can. I actually traded one of those pieces when I had.
You traded me both of those pieces over time. Actually.
Yeah. So look, it's a commodity you can exploit because there are very few tight ends you can really rely on.
Essentially, what it comes down to is I think the three of us may have been passing players around like joints for the last 6 weeks, right?
All the trades made sense.
We've definitely made a few trades amongst each other.
All the trades made sense.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys have gotten the better end of it all. I benefited a little bit, but not as tremendous as you two have.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Because you guys have been more active than I have, and I got to give you that.
Yeah.
You know me. I never stick to the name, bro. I'm just trying to win.
So, Is the pressure really on me to beat the Wapners this week?
I think so. I think you definitely have to win. But then again, I mean, I do too. At 4-4, I'm still a game behind you. If I lose,
if I beat the Wapners, though, that opens the door for everybody.
Yeah. But if I fall back to 4-5, my schedule, you don't have the points, but now I'm 2 games back of you if you win, and I think the pressure is still on a lot of people. Yeah, maybe a little more because of your points if other guys are still winning, but don't be mistaken, the pressure is still on.
My problem is I look at the standings here, and I'm like, who's going to fall off? Alex?
Even Danny in second in our league, there's a lot of pressure on him. He's got to win this week.
Danny has the luxury of those points, though.
He does, but his team, I could see pick up a few L's. He doesn't. His team's just not.
Crucial game is next week versus me versus him. That's a big game.
That's a huge game. That determines the landscape. Now, what about McClellan and Alex? I mean, I could see both of them falling off.
Yeah, Alex.
I believe they have a huge matchup.
Honestly, Danny Patel's on the way up.
Yeah, the playoff picture. I don't want to be tooting my own horn, but with the Saints on a bye this week, he's going to have a really hard time against me. But I don't want to just keep talking about our league here, But
well, it's just fun. I'm sorry. I know we should.
No, that's okay. Yeah, we get to a little bit here and there.
Well, because now after we talk about this, then we're going to dig into the matchups this week.
Let's do it.
Shall we?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start off with Thursday night. The aforementioned 49ers going into Arizona and playing the surprisingly competitive Arizona Cardinals. The spread is. The Niners are laying 10. The over-under is 42.5. 10. Opened at 7, jumped to 10 because, I think it's because Edmonds and Johnson are missing and they're key cogs in the offense.
Yeah.
Who wants to start?
I'm going to take this one. For betting purposes, I like the under and I like the Niners, but I don't feel confident just the under. Fantasy-wise, I'm starting Christian Kirk. And that's about it on the Cardinals, and I don't even know how confident I'm in that. Larry Fitzgerald has looked very poor the last few weeks. He's not doing much.
Kyler Murray's sick.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake has just come to this team and is probably your starter there. If you are absolutely desperate,
desperation flex.
We were just talking about looking at schedules, and it's the Niners, Tampa, Niners again. And that's what you want to try to start with there. Unless DJ comes back and we know he's healthy, I'm not starting a running back there.
Yeah, that's a treacherous.
Niners, it's the same thing. Start George Kittle. Start Mandy Sanders if you need somebody. Personally, I don't know that I would be doing it, but he's viable.
With the way they give up yards and touchdowns to tight ends.
Yeah.
Kittle might be my start of the week.
Yeah, Kittle's
across the board.
Yeah, Kittle's right up there. He would definitely be within my top 3 tight end plays.
They also give up
not even tight end, just overall players.
Yeah,
I would start him. He'd be a top 5.
Yeah,
start this week.
And the backfield too. Like if you're looking for somebody and you're trying to pick up someone off of waivers, I think Jeff Wilson can be a little sneaky. He's got a lot of goal line work when he's there. Breida's not going to be playing. Mostert's a little bit banged up.
Is Breida out this week?
I believe they ruled him
Niners
out.
Niners have the number 1 pass defense.
So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying to get him and play him. Don't go out and do it. But if you are desperate or you want to stash somebody, I think Jeff Wilson could be viable.
Niners have the number 1 pass defense. The Cardinals have the worst pass defense.
Just the Niners. They're going to be able to do what they want there.
Yeah,
and their identity is still
right
through George Kittle and the run game.
I'm playing him as Manny in the flex,
but he's the only receiver on that team I would even consider starting. Yeah, and like you said, flex worthy wide receiver 3 if you're in a 3 wide receiver league. That's about it.
Yep. Yeah. I would say I like the under. I like the Niners. 10 is but still. Yeah, I don't see why they don't win by 10 or 14 or something. I don't see why not.
Oh, the way that Arizona already lost 1 divisional game and got downright spanked to Seattle, I don't think there's going to be much more success against the Niners.
Yeah,
this is going to be
if not the stingiest,
a low-scoring affair. I'm going to make a prediction here. I'm going to go – I don't think the Cardinals are going to get blanked, but I think it's going to be – let's go 24-6 San Fran.
Okay.
That sound about reasonable?
Yeah, it sounds in the vicinity, yeah.
All right, so we'll go with that. And shall we discuss the 1 o'clock slate now?
Yes.
Let's go for it.
All right, just got to pull it up here. All right. Let's start off with London calling.
Love it.
Texans and
Jags.
The Texans and the Jags. The Jags are the designated home team as they designate 1 game a year to play home in London for I don't know how long, but there's an agreement there.
Yeah.
So the Houston Texans are 1.5 point favorites against the London Jaguars. Over under is 46.5.
Oh, 1.5. It's hilarious.
It's your turn to start here. What would you? What's your take on this kind of
46.
game?
I like the over. I like the over.
46.5. Yeah.
I like the over, and I'd like Sensei Minshew to win this game somehow. The Texans' defense is not good. They have the second worst passing defense. I see a lot of. I think Chark ended up on the injury report, didn't he?
He is questionable now.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in one of my potential starts of the week in just a minute, actually.
Chris Conley, excuse me.
Yeah.
Is Dede still banged up?
Excuse me.
Oh man.
And if we're talking about Chark, maybe doesn't play this week. Dede's banged up, is questionable. Conley after his week last week and against a weak secondary.
This is why I picked him up.
and I think O'Shaughnessy is playable too at tight end this week.
Is Shaughnessy back?
Yeah, I believe he might be back this week. So
I thought he was out for the year, but he's not.
Oh, is he? I didn't think he was. I thought I had read something. Yeah, I thought I had heard something about Shaughnessy being back this week, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I think Conley. We'll just get into it now.
Play.
Yeah,
it's a great play.
Now be mindful. There's that caveat. Let's see what Chark is. He just popped up with, I believe, a quad issue today. He could play. He could be fine. Let's see if Dede's playing. I don't feel the same way if the Jags, wide receivers are healthy.
The man is on IR, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind that. Then Shaughnessy is out. I was mistaken. My apologies.
I mean, if you're a hero, if had a fan of self-development, let me know.
But yeah, I think Conley could be an amazing play. He's going to be available in a lot of leagues. I think he's a great pickup, especially if Chark or Dede is hurt going forward. If we find out Chark's hamstring or quad is a big deal and this is like 3 weeks, Conley becomes a great play.
Well, I mean, obviously their offense runs through Fournette.
Yeah.
Fournette has a big day too.
Yeah, and Texans, look, you're playing Deshaun, you're playing D-Hop. I still like Kenny Stills. I know he didn't come through like I thought he would this past week, but I think he's still great. If Will Fuller is out, I'd be running him out in lineups for sure.
Yeah, Jaguars pass defense middle of the road. Yeah. They don't have Jalen Ramsey anymore. They're not scared.
Yeah, and Fells, I don't think he's anything more than a streaming tight end option. But if you're missing somebody or you have been streaming tight ends, he's definitely.
You don't think he's more
of
a streaming tight end? Even though the last 6 weeks he's proven to be a great red zone threat, and his targets have gone up.
I think he's still just a streaming option. I think he's a good streaming option, but streaming option.
At what point would you take him out of that and graduate him to solid starter?
I honestly think there's probably only 7 or 8 tight ends that I think are legit. You're going to start every week.
Yeah, I might play.
I think outside of those guys, I would say, and so I mean, if we're talking about that, it would be Darren Waller, it'd be Travis Kelce, it'd be Hunter Henry, it would be Evan Ingram, it would be
not Zach Ertz.
No, it would not be Zach Ertz. So my point about Mark Andrews, if he's playing, there's not many. There's really only that handful of guys I think you have to play every week. Then
George Kittle, do you say?
Yeah, oh, George Kittle, yeah. George, so that's 6. So after that, Ertz, Goddard, Fells, play a matchup, take them. If someone's available, go with it. Jonnu Smith on the Titans,
If Delaney was healthy, he'd be playing.
Yeah, of course. But there's these guys. So, yeah, I think outside of those top 6 or so guys, yeah.
I personally love the Lennon. I love the Lennon games. I somehow, I'm up anyways, got a baby and stuff, so I'm up anyways at that time, but I love the London games, and I think that's going to be a fun game. That's going to be a high-scoring, back-and-forth shootout.
Yeah.
My prediction, if I may, I'm going to go with – they almost did it in week 2 in Houston, so I'm going to say it. The Jaguars pulled this one out, and it's going to be –
high-scoring game.
31-28 Jacksonville.
I don't know if I gave mine, but we're going to make it 3 for 3 and take the Jags as well. High-scoring affair. I'll say the Jags 30, and I will say 24 Texans.
I almost led for 24.
Yeah, I'm going to say 30-24 Jags.
Sounds about right. That's where I'm about where I am.
Okay.
All right. Next game on the matchup. Washington Redskins travel to Buffalo to face the reeling Bills. My Bills.
What a good.
I'm still so mad about that. I'm sorry.
That's some good medicine, though. Getting Redskins at home. That's some good medicine.
They're laying 9.5, and the over/under is a whopping 37.
Wow.
May I start this one?
Go ahead.
Please.
Has anyone been surprised at how competitive the Redskins have looked in the last couple of weeks? I did not expect them to play.
Thursday night a little bit.
They played Minnesota pretty tough Thursday night. They didn't let them get in the red zone at the end zone that much.
They don't have a 1-7 defense.
No. I mean, the difference might have been Thielen not being in that game, but still, they tested him. I mean, the only one that really got yard on him and did anything was Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, Diggs had a pretty good game too.
Diggs had a good game, and Cousins converted all but 3 passes.
Yeah, and Madison wasn't bad, and his little.
But none of it translated to points.
No, it really didn't. Yeah, it really didn't.
Which was amazing to me.
Their pass defense is like middle of the road. Their rush defense is like kind of middle of the road.
And I'm not sure what to think out of the Niners. I know they only lost by 9, but that was a monsoon.
That was a weather game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the Steelers Dolphins, in 07 or whatever, the Mud Bowl. It wasn't quite that
3-0 final.
Yeah, on the last play of the game, essentially.
Yes.
Too, but
I mean,
but
go ahead.
No, I am a little surprised that the Redskins have been quite this competitive, but for fantasy purposes, I don't want anybody but Terry McLaurin. Geis is maybe a stash if you're in a deep league. He's been practicing. Chris Thompson's dinged up again. The Bills, there's only a couple pieces I want there too. Josh Allen,
John
Brown, yeah.
Cole Beasley's been turning it on a little as recently too.
Yeah, but there's nobody here that I feel like I'm looking at I have to find a way to get him in my lineup, except for probably Allen. I really like.
I'd say John Brown because he's one of 2 wide receivers, the other one being Michael Thomas, that have gone for 50 yards or more in every game this year.
Yeah.
So he's been consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I get him in there. I think he's, a solid wide receiver too this week for sure. But I don't know if I have to. I don't know. This game just is meh. I don't think it's a high scoring game. I just don't see a ton of fantasy goodness here.
Yeah, me either. I don't see it being a high fantasy game.
I don't see it being a high fantasy game, but do you see this as a game as an opportunity for Josh Allen to get right?
In my opinion, this is actually a Devin Singletary game. This is the game where they need to. First of all, the Bills need to win this game. So, in my opinion, the Bills' game plan isn't going to be. I mean, they're not even air it out or crazy offensive team, anyways.
I will say this: if they lose this game, you can kiss the playoffs goodbye because you got a horde of teams coming for playoff seeding.
Yeah, if they lose that game, I don't like their chances.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Singletary. I want to see more out of that. Gore played far fewer snaps, but had the more carries. I want to see if it's a game script thing. If they do get way up on Washington, is this a Gore game? If they're down or it's close, are they passing more with Singletary? 9 touches last week, but 6 or 9 looks last week. 6
in a
targets.
game.
Oh, we did have 6 catches.
In a game where the wind was a factor and they should have ran the ball more.
Yeah, so I want to see more out of Singletary. He only had 3 carries. Do I think Gore's 12, if that's right? So I need to see more before I say it's a Singletary game. But
I'm just saying, I think they got to see what they have in them at some point, right? Don't you got to see what you have in them at some point?
He is the running back of the future. I just think Gore, he is still running well. I don't know that there's a reason to put it all on Singletary at this point in time.
No, I guess I didn't mean that. I guess I meant it's a running. It's a game where the Bills got to come in we got to win this game, and we don't want to really necessarily put it in Allen's hands.
I think the Bills need to up their urgency here and play like it's a do or die because you're not going to survive leaving bad teams like Cincinnati, the Jets, the Dolphins in games that you're supposed to handle and win. Meanwhile, you're letting these jabroni-ass teams stay with you with the possibility to knock you off. Yeah. How are you supposed to be a legitimate playoff team when you're letting the trash of the NFL stay in these games with you?
Right.
And they have a lot of these games at home. Like I said, last week was just surprising. They just got straight dominated.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't understand the call to go for it on 4th down, only down 6. Was it they were down 6?
Yeah, I would say they need some better.
No, they were down 12.
Okay.
No, it was 6. I couldn't.
Yeah,
I think it was 6.
But definitely say they need some better play calling.
With the win the way it was, do you agree or disagree with them going for it on 4th in that spot, or do you take the shot with the field goal with the wind coming at your face?
I don't mind him going for it there. I don't mind him going.
How much confidence do they really have in Josh Allen?
I think I'd rather see him go for it than try that field goal.
You know what I mean? How much confidence do they really have in this kid? I am questioning it.
he does make some mistakes. He makes great plays on the ground, but he has some
He
brain
makes the
parts for
stupidest mistakes of any quarterback in the league. Like, these are mistakes that kill momentum, leave garbage teams in games. And then you're wasting that.
What I'd like to see this
Marcus
game from
Mariota
them,
would like to argue with that, but
what I'd like to see from them is just win this game. Just win this game.
Handily win this game.
Have a couple.
Dominate.
Get Josh Allen on the ground. Don't put it all on him. He's not ready. He's definitely not ready for that. He's not ready to lead you through the air. Do some design runs, run the ball, get up on them, and just
is he the quarterback of the future?
Yes.
Yeah, he is. He is. But they got to kind of do it slowly because he's just not there. He's not there yet.
I'm going to bring this up because I brought this up last year during draft time. Did they make the right selection trading up for Allen, or should they have waited for Lamar to fall in their laps?
Oh, well, I mean, now when you look back at it,
hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
I said they should have waited for Lamar because they had 2 first-round picks, and he would have fell to them at one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like I felt like the Browns didn't do things the way I would have did it either. So
would you have taken Darnold over Baker?
No, I don't mind Baker, but not where they took him. They could have taken Baker with the second pick, and then they could have got
Bradley Chubb?
Or whoever. They could have played it differently. I did not like how they did it. There was a couple of ways they could have went, and I just thought
they could have taken Barkley at number 1 overall.
Yeah, you could have taken Saquon Barkley number 1 overall, and then come back and still got Baker
Mayfield
at
but
5
and number 4.
4, yeah.
But
4.
Denzel Ward has turned out not to be a bad pick.
No, he hasn't.
I know he's been hurt, but he's been good.
And like you said, like we said, anything hindsight's 2020. So to say whatever, no, I don't think Josh Allen was a bad trade up there. Lamar was great, but sometimes we don't know. Like we didn't think Mahomes would be what he did now, and now a lot of teams look silly for.
I remember.
Yeah, hindsight's always 2020.
Well, I remember in the draft there were questions about whether Lamar was going to be what they wanted to try out as a wide receiver or running back.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're being honest with you, we aren't far away from a world where Tom Brady is home, having never been an NFL quarterback. And in this world where we are now, where we talk about him as one of the greatest ever, he was a skinny nothing out of Michigan that wasn't even getting looks. He might not even gone drafted. What if he doesn't get a lock on with a team? Or what if he just doesn't start there and then gets traded elsewhere? So hindsight.
Yeah, I feel like in the NFL draft, it's always hindsight's 2020. Because you could always be like,
we might have another Tom Brady story on the horizon with Sensei Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, no, but we'll let it.
Black belt and jorts, Back to this game. I'm going to give you a prediction, a final score here. As much as I shudder to say this, I think the Bills cover, and I think the final score is Buffalo.
What was the line again?
It's 9.5. Buffalo.
I would say 21-10.
20 to 10.
That's fine. That's where
2 field goals, 2 touchdowns, and the defense will play up to their expectations, and they're not going to let Peterson go yard on them like they did.
Oh man, I'm going to tell you right now, they better. If they're thinking playoffs.
If you lose this game, you're losing all momentum. Because they're gonna end up out of the playoffs if they lose this game.
There will be
a pack of teams.
I feel like they're already reeling. If they lose this game, they're gonna be an absolute.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a real low scoring game here, and I think the difference is the Bills get it in the end zone once. I'm gonna say 13-9 Bills. I say the Redskins can't find the end zone. Bills do once. They get it done at very low score.
Josh Allen rushing touchdown, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. I'm fine with that. Yes.
I love design runs. I love design runs.
This game could have the potential to be a little more high scoring if Dwayne Haskins gets to start.
Yeah, high scoring for who? For the Bills with pick sixes?
Ready quarterback.
You can't play that guy. It's a fumble recovery. The defense can score points. That's what I'm saying.
Sure, the defense could. Right. We're talking about defensive scores.
We need that.
I'm trying to. Yeah, because Haskins is. He is not NFL ready.
Oh, he's just god awful.
Yeah.
All right.
Next.
Our next game, Tennessee. The Titans, they are traveling to Carolina to play the Panthers. The Panthers are 3.5-point favorites. The over-under is 41.5. Go.
Yeah, man. Carolina is a team that I'm slowly starting to fade in fantasy. I'm not really a fan of DJ Moore. Not really a huge fan of
Curtis
Samuel. I mean, because we are in a world where tight ends just aren't great, Olsen is obviously an option each week and probably should get started in most 10 to 12 team leagues. McCaffrey, you're doing what you're doing. I've lost most trust in Kyle Allen, and I'm not sure what to think even when Newton's back. And on the flip side, Tennessee, like, I really started out feeling pretty good about the running game, but now I'm not in love with it. I was hoping
I'm with you on that.
I was hoping the switch away from Mariota to Tannehill would make a bigger difference, and then Corey Davis disappointed me this week. And I don't think it's Davis's fault. I think on a team with a good quarterback and a winning mentality, he can still be a stud. But there's just not much goodness. I think the only guy on that team I really like at all is Jonnu Smith. I see another low-scoring game, and I'm going to say Carolina gets it done. McCaffrey finds the end zone twice, and they win this game 24-17.
This is an interesting game. I say this is for both teams. This is like the season almost. Doesn't it feel like that?
I think Tennessee's up and going already.
Tennessee's 4-4. Yeah, Carolina's 5-3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Tennessee's going anywhere, but I'm just saying, like, from their perspective.
Yeah.
Like, if you lose this game, it's a wrap. I think it's already a wrap. Anyways, but from just simply their perspective, I'll take Panthers with a bounce back. What was the spread?
3.5.
3.5.
Carolina giving 3.5.
Over-under's what?
The over-under
40?
is 41.5.
Huh. I guess I'll just go with the over 24-21 Carolina.
It's a hard game to pick.
I mean, obviously, you're for fantasy perspective. McCaffrey is literally.
Are the Titans good enough on defense to stop McCaffrey? I don't think so.
No, nobody's good enough to stop McCaffrey.
Maybe the Saints.
Literally unstoppable.
Maybe the Saints.
Even as good as the Saints are, he's absolutely matchup proof. He's absolutely just a straight stud.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to say that Panthers being home is the difference, and I think they win not by much.
Close game. It'll be a close game. They're both pretty similar. They have like pretty good defenses. They have pretty not good offenses. Like they're pretty similar.
This is going to be a 27-24 Panthers victory to me. It'll come down to Joey Sly kicking a boot. Honestly,
you said 24 to what?
27-24.
27. Okay, so very close to
It's very close to covering. It's on the fringe. I mean, it's not a game I'd bet.
Yeah, it's not
a game where I'm looking to start anyone not named McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, as you said, has been a disappointment, which is surprising because he's supposed to be the anchor of that offense.
Yeah.
Another guy that I'm off is Olsen. I mean, it's not Olsen's fault. It's just simply that I think Cam loves Olsen.
So
when he comes back.
So let's talk about that. If Cam comes back, does his value go up? Because I still think Olsen's in that streaming category. Yeah, like 3 weeks out of the 8
I think
so
DJ
far.
Moore and Curtis Samuel's values go up more.
Yeah. So it's an offense to watch. I think once Cam is back for sure. If he's back and healthy, like I don't advocate starting Cam the first week he's back or giving the big bump to those guys without seeing it.
Yeah.
But it could down the stretch really help their
value.
value.
Like he did before he went out. Oh,
yeah, like Superman, sure.
Yeah.
Or no, not Superman. The opposite.
The opposite of Superman this year. Yeah.
What else do we got for games here?
Well, we have a game coming up that's off the board. I have no numbers for.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a second. Here's one I'd like to.
Eagles.
I would love to start the discussion about this one if I may. It's the Bears and the Eagles.
Yeah, this is the one you were talking about earlier.
Financial Field.
Yeah.
The Eagles are laying 5. The over/under is 42. I'm going to say this: 5 is too low. I don't think the Bears have a shot to win this game. I really don't. I think last week was a momentum builder for the Eagles, and being in a weak division, knowing that they can win that division is within reach.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles win this one handily because the Bears are falling apart at the seams. They're riding or dying with a guy that should have never been drafted by them, a guy they should have never traded up for, a guy they should have let somebody else take the chance with. Nobody else was stupid enough to do it anyway, but if this is Wentz's team, this will be the game. I think the Philadelphia Eagles handily win this one 20-9.
I want to start with the story about a spread we talked about being weird. And that's last week when I thought I was shocked that the Bills were only 1.5-point home favorites against this Eagles team. I couldn't believe it. That line made no sense to me. And I said it, and I'm like, Vegas knows something we don't, because why is that 1.5? And then the Eagles go in and manhandle Buffalo. And I feel like the Eagles are one of these teams I talked about with a lot of parity that I'm just not sure I still know who they are. And now 5, and you're saying it's too low, and I feel like it is, but I feel like this could be a trap game. I'm actually going to go the opposite here. I'm going to go the Bears. I really want to believe Matt Nagy and him saying they're going to go to the run game, they're going to run the ball, they're going to run the ball.
Yeah, but Philly can stop the run.
They can, but they had a get-right game with Montgomery last week. I think running Cohen out of the backfield and lining him up in the slot so many times like they did. I think Allen Robinson is, just proving how really talented he is doing this on the Bears with, Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. I think the Eagles
This is a guy that had Blake Bortles throwing all those years.
We're still talking about an Eagles defense that is not healthy, a team with a lot of injuries. We're not sure if Djax is back. I don't know what to make out of this, so I'm going to take the points. I think the Bears win in a sloppy, close game. I'll take the Bears 24, and I'll take the Eagles 16.
So I'm about ready to put the Bears in the dust squad. Trubisky is just not that dude.
They're going in that trash bin.
They're about to go in the trash bin. And this week this will be the week that they put him in the trash bin. So they're not going to be able to run against the Eagles. That's the only thing they can do. That's what probably their game plan is going to be. The Eagles actually have the 6th best rush defense.
How many times does Byron Maxwell pick off? Is it Byron Maxwell?
Who the hell is Byron Maxwell?
Malcolm Jenkins.
Why
did I get those two confused?
It could be a lot. It's possible.
How many times did he pick off Trubisky?
It sucks when you go into a game with your game plan being the only thing you can do being run the ball, and then that's the defense's strong point. Their secondary is atrocious.
I think that run game still is going to do pretty good for the Bears this week. I'm probably crazy, but I actually like it this week.
I'm actually taking
Jeremy Shepard.
I believe you. I'm taking the Eagles in a blowout here, actually. Not blowout, but I mean they're gonna win by like 2 touchdowns. They get Djax back. If he comes back, that's a huge component to their offense and is the reason why their offense has been sluggish, because now you got that guy that just opens up the field.
I think it really helps all their fantasy values too if he's back and healthy.
It makes Alshon so much better.
Even Ertz, I think too.
Yeah.
I really do, because I think they've been focusing on him a lot. I think this helps everybody.
And I believe Sanders is a little banged up, so I don't know if he's going to go.
Is this a week for a plug and play with the Eagles defense?
No.
There's better options out there.
I'm not playing. I'm not going to play their defense ever. I don't care what the matchup is, but I do like the Eagles in this game a lot.
Defense looked good last week on the road. I'm not going to lie. Granted, that was helped by Josh Allen.
Exactly. Those offenses not exactly great.
Defense can always be a little bit of a crapshoot, but I think there's.
As a matter of fact, this game is actually super similar to last week. I think it's another 31-10 game. Like it seems similar to me.
This is actually going to sound weird, but a defense I actually like this week is the Jags. I know that they're going to get scored on by the Texans, but I think they're going to get to Watson a lot. I think they are going to create a couple turnovers, and I think they are going to get some sacks. It's funny, they'll give up points, but I actually like that defense a little bit this week. I know it's weird, but
So I'm taking the Eagles in a big way here.
You and I are in the same.
I might take the Eagles in Survivor. We'll see.
I think I like it. Only because the Bears Mr. Trubisky's holding them back from being what they could be.
Very much so.
If I were them, I would have traded.
They're a reeling team. Why? When I saw them lose that game to the Chargers, first of all, while I'm watching that, I'm thinking the Chargers are about to lose again.
Yeah.
And
I know.
Again to the end.
God finally said, "Here's one your way," and we can sit here and let's criticize the Bears organization here because they masked up all offseason their struggles with Trubisky by putting it on a kicker who had no right to have that pinned on him.
Yeah.
They're basically trying to make emphasis because they didn't do much in the offseason. They were obsessed with replacing the kicker.
How bad was that at the end when they had four?
Oh,
listen,
yeah, I don't.
You
don't run the ball or pass the ball once
he sounded so defensive.
Yeah, you
Like,
gotta
he was
run
like
the ball
100%.
there.
I wasn't gonna run, and 100% I wasn't gonna pass.
It was stupid.
I understand not passing.
Yeah.
You got 45
Right.
seconds. You have a kicker who's not
Yeah.
that good. At least get him 4
Yeah,
or
the way
5
Montgomery's
yards.
running that game, he
Are you
might
kidding
even
me?
have broken one.
Yeah. There was no reason
Nagy
to not
knows
run.
he has a mess to deal with because he inherited Trubisky. He didn't draft Trubisky.
Yeah.
He inherited him from the old John Fox
Still,
regime.
we're not talking about he needed to pass or do whatever.
Nah.
We're talking about run the ball 3 times.
Dude, you have
Montgomery.
one timeout. You got 45 seconds.
Yeah.
You could run twice.
Yeah,
You can
we're
run
talking
twice.
about running the ball
get
with
6
Montgomery.
yards.
That's
Yeah.
just bad game.
Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah.
6 yards might
Yeah.
have made the difference in the field
Yeah,
goal.
and
You know what I
again,
mean?
the way he was running, he could have broken one. He might have got you 15 more yards or even taken one to the house because they know a run's coming.
Yeah.
So they're going to be a stacked box. If he gets to the second level there, he might even have just
And the
broken
Chargers
one.
defense is not exactly Hercules.
No.
No.
Yeah, and a lot of injuries too, although they do get back Gordon this week.
Oh, Ingram.
Melvin Ingram.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. These Melvin, what is it? It's the Jabals and the Melvins there are killing me.
2 Melvins walk into a bar.
Yeah, Melvin
Let's
Ingram.
move on to the next
Melvin
game.
Ingram. I believe this is the game you said with no line. I
There's
wanna
no
know what this is
line
about.
on this game, and we all know why. Because we don't know if Mahomes is playing or not. But it's the Vikings and it's the Chiefs. There's no line. There's no over-under. So who wants to start this discussion about the way this game's going to
I'll start. Man, is Cook gonna have a big day in this game. I mean, obviously he's a must. I mean, he's a start, plug and play forever.
Yeah.
But in this game,
We're talking about top 5 player this week.
Well, we're talking about RB1, and I don't even think there's a
the
question
Kansas
about
City
it.
Chiefs can't stop me running the ball, bro. Cook and it might get out of hand if Mahomes doesn't play. It might get out of hand, and Madison might get some touches in there too. They're gonna run the hell out of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They're gonna run the hell out of the Chiefs.
I think I'm taking the Vikings either way in this game, whether Mahomes plays or not. I expect in Kansas City that the line is going to be around a pick'em if Mahomes plays, and I'm going to say Vikings laying 2.5 if he doesn't.
This game is in Minnesota.
No,
This
it's
game
in
is in
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
So I think
Well,
it's
they've
gonna-
lost 3 games.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's a pick if Mahomes plays. I think it's around a field goal if he doesn't in favor of the Vikings.
I'm still taking the Vikings.
I think the Vikings and the defense is great. Mahomes, let's be honest with Mahomes too. Prior to this injury, he was dinged up. He didn't look the same. He was getting hit a lot, hurt a lot.
He got hurt week 1.
He's had a sore ankle since week 1.
So but the weapons they have, I think this could be a high scoring game because as good as Minnesota's defense is, I think they are going to give up some points. I'm going to say Minnesota 31-21.
I'll take Minnesota regardless of Mahomes.
Yeah, I am too.
Cook all day.
Yeah,
With how good Minnesota is,
Yeah,
outside of
especially if
Xavier
Thielen's
Rhodes.
back, and they might be getting back Josh Doxson this week too.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, he came off IR.
Minnesota's rolling.
Him and Cousins have that familiarity from their Washington.
Cousins, that first round pedigree doesn't go away. You know, I think with receivers, a lot of times that's receivers and running back pedigree matters more than with quarterbacks, where guys are just willing to take a crap
Kansas
shoot
City
on
is
them,
giving
you know,
up
but
145 yards.
I still like
on the ground
Doxson's
again.
chance. Yeah, I still like Doxson's chance. Maybe not this week. I'm not going to be playing him.
With how bad
Could be a
Xavier
stash in
Rhodes
fantasy
has
leagues.
been on defense,
Yeah.
is this a Tyreek Hill kind of studly game?
Yeah, I don't think Minnesota's been too good against the tight end either, so this could be decent for Kelsey.
Minnesota gave up a bunch to Waller earlier in the year.
So I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I think Hill and Kelsey could both get loose a little bit. Like I said, I'm not saying I don't think Kansas City doesn't score. I just think Minnesota is going to have an easier time and will find their way into the end zone or a field goal or two more than what Kansas City gets.
Much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not that I don't think KC won't score even against a great defense. Just not enough. They can't stop Minnesota.
This is also a great spot for Minnesota.
I would say Minnesota wins more handily with or without Mahomes. I think it's a 38-24 type of game.
Then do you put Minnesota as one of the best teams in the NFC? Do you put them as the best team in the NFC North?
Yes.
I told you, I think Minnesota and the Saints are the two best teams in the NFC, period.
What is it, Christmas Eve to 23rd, whatever it is? Monday Night Football, the Monday Night Football finale, they host the Packers.
So you're on board with me that they figured it out?
Absolutely.
They figured it out.
Cousins had to get right.
I feel like all that drama might have helped a little bit.
There's no on board. I am above what you guys are. I think Minnesota might very well be the team to beat. The defense is good. Yes, you said Rhodes hasn't been amazing this year. Still a great defense. Maybe the best home field advantage in the NFL. and figuring it out, passing the ball with maybe already the best rush attack in football, yeah, I really like Minnesota a lot.
My guy Zimmer, I love Zimmer.
Yeah, good head
He's a
coach.
very underrated coach. Hey.
Next.
Yeah, I think we only have like 2 4:00 games this week. There's
We're not done with the
Oh,
one
we got
o'clock.
okay. Sorry.
Dust Bowl Volume 4.
Oh, let's not talk much about this game.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to talk much about this game. I don't want to talk. All I want to say is Demaryius Thomas, Robbie Anderson, Le'Veon Bell. Start them.
Yep.
Start them all. Yep.
Yeah.
Although on the downside, this could be the game the Dolphins steal. But anyway, it's the Jets -3. The over/under is 41.
Is this in Miami?
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter.
I'll say, much as I think those Jets are going to perform, I think the Dolphins find a way to get their first win of the year because Darnold's still seeing ghosts. And he would have gotten away for it had it been for those Maryland kids. Does anyone want to say anything?
Did you see the Jaguars mascot roll out in the ghost?
I did. It was great. Yeah.
I love that, dude.
Yeah, I have 2 things I want to say about the game. One is fantasy related. One is the best meme of the week. We talked earlier about schedule. Get those guys in your lineup. Go make a play for Darnold. Stash them on your bench. Week schedule going forward. This is a Le'Veon Bell get right game if I've ever seen one. And the schedule is great the next 6 to 7 weeks. So play these guys. Get them in your lineup. Make trades for them if you can. The other thing, if anybody has seen the meme that is going around, there is a pie chart that is all in dark blue. And it says, the 1-6 Jets, the pie chart showing the one team they beat, and it's all dark blue, and it's all the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. So just the pie chart of the teams that the Jets have beat this year is the Dallas Cowboys, and I love it. I think it's great.
Me too, because I hate the Cowboys. I like the Jets. The Dolphins suck. They're gonna blitz on 3rd and 22 and literally leave a tank on the field because when they leave the field, they hop in a tank. They are absolute dust. The Jets are too, but
Devontae Parker could be mildly interesting if you need just someone to pick up on bye weeks, only because he's produced a little bit, but I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, I mean, I just simply hope you don't own any Dolphins, so
Next
whatever.
game.
Yeah.
Not so much a Dust Bowl. This game on paper kind of looks like shit, but I think it's a trap game. Colts go to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, and it's the Colts -1. The game opened at a pick'em, just so we understand that. In Pittsburgh, the over/under is 43. I'd like to start really quick. This is going to be a very low-scoring game. I think the Pittsburgh defense is going to keep Brissett and the Colts in check. I think this has upset potential, and I'm going to go with the Steelers in a 17-14 win.
Go ahead. I'm
going to take the Steelers, too. I want to talk about something. I have Connor in fantasy. I'm sure other people do, too. The AC joint sprain is the same thing that Josh Jacobs just played through this last week. Keep an eye out on him, but with that team already banged up a little bit, I fully expect him to play this week. So don't hit panic mode there. It was nice to see Juju come out and do something. It's nice to see Deontay Johnson have the rapport that he has with Mason Rudolph.
If you ask Joe and I, it was not nice to see Juju do anything. But go ahead.
No, I know what you mean. As a Steelers fan, and I don't own him in a single one of my fantasy leagues, but just to see him bounce back was nice. Indy's playing great. Jacoby's been good. Even last week where he didn't score a touchdown, he still looked really good, had one of the best plays of the week. I like the kid. Steelers defense has been great. TJ Watt getting after, the pass rushers and, after the pass game. Bud Dupree been amazing, also getting after the pass and in the secondary a little bit. And Minkah Fitzpatrick coming up again this week. I think this is a game that they can win. And I think the Steelers do win. I'm actually surprised that it's Indy favored here by a point. We talked earlier. We talked earlier off air about the Steelers really only being a couple plays away from a team that we're talking about in a much different light here. I think they've got a couple wins in a row. They're rolling a little bit. Their confidence is built. I like them. As far as Indy goes, fantasy-wise, start your usual players. If you have to stream tight end, Doyle's doable. But get T.Y. Hilton out there, get Mac out there again. Brissett, if you need him. I don't think he's a must-start this week, but if you're in a pinch, he could be a guy to use. I'll say Steelers 24. You guys won't like this. I'm probably wrong. I'm going to let my bias show. Colts 13.
So playing this one for Delvin Hodges.
Thank you. Yeah, the duck, baby.
So Steelers defense is good. We talked about it off there. I'm going to go the Colts just simply because I absolutely I love Brissett. Brisket all day, baby. I loves me some brisket. You saw that play last week against the Broncos in the end zone. He goes from almost a safety to the game-winning play essentially.
Well, he's yours for Josh Allen right now in fantasy if you want.
Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. I'll send the trade
Lock it
tonight.
up.
I'm down.
I'll send the trade to
So this is a very good game. I think I'm gonna watch this game. The Steelers have a great defense.
You don't want to watch Dust Bowl 4?
Nope, I do not want to even. My eyes will hurt watching that game. So I will tune to this game. I'm gonna take the Colts in a super close game, 21-17, and I just love me some brisket. So I'm gonna be watching it.
All right. I mean, pretty much you and I are in the range of.
I'm a big fan of the Colts.
I told you I'm letting my bias show here. I'll admit.
I'm a big fan of the Colts. The Colts, in my eyes, are like a 7-0 team. Yeah. They lost to the Chargers by Vinatieri. They lost to the Raiders because they had nobody. They're almost 7-0 team. I like their makeup.
They're almost a 7-0 team without Andrew Luck.
I love their makeup, man. I love their coach. I love their quarterback. I love their makeup. Let's go Colts.
All right. The next game is we got a couple of 405s on the single header on Fox. First one is the Detroit Lions, everybody's favorite lovable losers who the refs hate.
The refs hate the Lions.
Going into Oakland to play the Raiders, who are also heavily penalized throughout the years.
Yeah, the refs hate both of them.
This is a who do the refs hate more type of game. The
is
Raiders,
a lovely fantasy game.
This is options of play.
Lovely.
The Raiders are laying 2.5. The over/under is 50.5. I started last time. You started. Joe, your turn. Go.
Damn. This is in Oakland, right?
Yep.
This is in Oakland.
I'm gonna go ahead and take Mr. Carr and the Raiders. The over was
50.5.
Yeah. Wow. I'm gonna take the over. I'll take the Raiders. Detroit's pass defense is not good. Neither is the Raiders. There should be a lot of fantasy points scored in this game. I like Josh Jacobs. I like Tyrell. I like Waller. I like Carr. And then on the other side, I love Stafford. I own Stafford. I like Galladay. I like both offenses in this game.
Do you like Marvin Jones?
And I dislike both defenses in this game. Marvin Jones not as much, but yes, I still like him as well. I think this is an amazing fantasy game. I think it's just high scoring and just fun game to watch. They're just going to be going at it, scoring back and forth.
These two are basically playing Tecmo Bowl the whole time.
That's pretty much what I'm thinking.
I think fantasy-wise, you're starting all your pieces. Maybe not T.J. Hawkinson. I think there's better streaming options at tight end. And the Lions backfield, just because we don't know what to make heads or tail of. Trey Carson, J.D. McKissic, Ty Johnson.
I don't know what's going on there.
I still think I like Ty Johnson going forward. If you twist my
arm
about it. They're
going to sign Jack this week and start him at running back.
Yeah, which, who knows? It's possible. They called me. I turned it down. But
you don't want to go play in Oakland today?
But everywhere else, Oakland, get Waller in, get Tyrell in, get Jacobs in, I think, for a huge game. I actually am about to go pick up Carr and stream him in our fantasy league this week, I believe. Start Stafford. I'm going to start all three Lions pass catchers. We even Danny Amendola, who's had 2 really good weeks in a row. Start of the season had a big week. I just think he's found his niche there. Do I think he's going to get you 6 for 100 yards or 9 for 85 every week? No, I don't. But I do think he's got a decent floor, and I think he's good for at least 11 or 12 fantasy points.
Now, on a point you're talking about Amendola, we skipped something. You had a point you wanted to make, and I'm going to put Amendola in the same conversation.
Okay.
Danny Amendola and Chris Conley, the last 2 weeks, have these been outliers, or have these been glimpses of what these guys are to their team?
Conley's pretty good. He was a threat a little bit with the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think he's a bad receiver. He's never had a chance to be a number 1. I think Conley is more of the outlier because I think it's more big plays. Now, if Chark is hurt, if Didi's hurt, if neither play or if one doesn't go, I think that really ups Conley's value and is the guy I would play over them. But in a perfect world, if everything's even and everybody's playing, I like Danny Amendola more. He's getting more targets. He's getting more work. Stafford seems rejuvenated. He's, throwing really well. And I think it's the better matchup against an Oakland team I know it's Houston. I know, both of them are juicy, but I really think there's going to be a lot of scoring here. I'm going to take Oakland 41, and I'm going to say Detroit 38 in a very high scoring game.
I'm gonna go. I agree with you guys. This is going to be a high-scoring game. They're already playing Tecmo Bowl. They're already pressing the X button all the time.
Yeah.
There's going to be no defensive coverage.
Bo Jackson's not going to run it out in the first quarter like he does in Family Guy.
He's really not.
He might run out there, man. He might run out there.
Well, Barry Sanders going yard too.
There you
I
go.
love Carr and Stafford this week, man.
Yeah.
I love most position relevant skill players. I don't think Hunter Renfro is going to have another 85-yard.
That's
an outlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 65 on a busted play for a touchdown. No.
In one word, guys, does Tyrell Williams keep up his stretch of a touchdown every game?
Yes.
Over under 1.5.
Oh, you mean
this
week?
Season
or just this week?
This week.
I say yes this week.
Over under, yeah, give me the under, but yes, I think he keeps it up. All he does is catch touchdowns. But yeah,
better than Chris Carter at it.
I'll go 5 for 94 and a touch. That's my
perfect.
Tyrell line.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I'll go with my final score here. This is tough. This is both teams can.
This is another fun game
This
is another fun game. I love watching the fun games.
I'm gonna go just because they're at home. I'm gonna go Oakland 45, Detroit 42.
Love it. Another high scoring game. Bigger than me. I like it.
This is
All right.
points aplenty.
54-50.
We might have another shootout at 4:05, guys. The Buccaneers and their lack of a pass defense travel to Seattle to play Russell Wilson and the what happened to us Seahawks. What happened to us in the second half last week?
50 something too, isn't it?
Air it out.
It is 51.
Yeah.
And it's the Seahawks only laying 6. I'd like to start with this game. After talking with Joe earlier, we were discussing some statistics. I might steal your thunder here. I apologize.
That's fine.
The Buccaneers have the worst pass defense in the league, yet they have the top-ranked rush defense in the league.
Very strange.
Does this mean that Chris Carson is not relevant this week? Quite possibly, because the Bucs have taken a lot of good running backs and taken them out of the equation. Look at Derrick Henry last week. Even they've limited McCaffrey. McCaffrey's had some good stats, but McCaffrey's yards against them have not been that impressive.
Yeah, I watched that London game.
So they can stop the run. So they're going to challenge Russ to air it out, which I think he can. And on the flip side, they're not stopping anyone. So Jameis could have a decent game. One of the receivers is going to eat pretty well. This is not an O.J. Howard script either. He's still missing on the milk carton.
Yeah,
I'm over that guy. I'm so over that guy.
If I'm them, I would have traded him because you could have gotten value and Cameron Brate serviceable. But anyway, I'm going to go with an upset here. I'm going to take the Buccaneers in a 35-31 final.
I'm gonna
only because I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Only because the Seahawks are that team. They're like the Bills. They leave bad teams in games.
Yeah,
they leave them hanging.
Yeah,
and
they do. It's not. They don't do it on purpose. They're just that bad.
This is the Bruce Arians NFC West Revenge Tour year.
Right.
So for that reason alone, and the fact that James has gotten better. I mean, the interception last week, whatever. He played a hell of a game against MC. Yeah. I think that the Buccaneers are going to pull off a surprising upset here.
Yeah, it could be. I'm going to go with a chalk in a close game. I don't think Seattle covers. I will take the points. But I think Seattle wins in a – I'm saying lower scoring game, but I still am taking the over. I'm going to say 28-24. I just think they get it done in the end zone one more time. I like all the pass catching options. I wish Lockett was getting more targets, but he catches every ball thrown his way. I have a fantasy play this week. This is one of my other ones that I like, and that's DK Metcalf. This is a guy who has 13 red zone targets. 13 of them. That's a lot when you stop and think about it.
When Will Disley went down, his uptick went up in the red zone.
So people, like last week, I was talking with somebody, and they were saying, oh, Slayton had those 2 for 50 for the Giants and 2 touchdowns. That's an outlier.
That is absolutely
2 catches for 50 yards for a speedster receiver. Metcalf is a red zone target. He's got a tight end body. He is massive. I love this guy. He's a guy with great scoring upside because of that touchdown potential. So I really like him a lot this week. And he really is that guy that might only have 3 targets, 2 catches, but can easily put up a touchdown because they love him there. On the flip side, yeah, I like the Bucs. Hate the run game. Start Jameis. Start both pass catchers. I feel really confident about it. If you have Chris Carson, you're starting Chris Carson. But
You're not in love with it, though?
Yeah, but I'm not in love with it. I'm not in love with it this week. I think most of this game goes through the air for both of these teams.
I agree.
And I think Evans or Godwin at the end of this week, either one could easily be wide receiver one of the week. They've been amazing, those two. Absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll go Seattle 35, Tampa Bay 24, 28.
wow, so you're putting on more than one possession game.
I like Seattle in this game. We already talked about, and we already talked it to death. Just air it out. You're not going to sit Carson. I don't love him because somehow the Bucs rush defense is good. They're going to air it out. Yeah, we already talked about it. We talked to the death.
Okay.
There's another game I don't want to spend much time on, maybe a sentence or two, but yeah, the preseason Cinderella's the darlings, the Cleveland Browns, traveling to Denver to play. What's his name in the Denver Broncos?
Brandon Allen.
Brandon Allen.
Playing for the benched, not injured, in my opinion, Joe.
Tune in next week. Tune in next week when I put the Cleveland Browns. I dunk the Cleveland Browns in the trash bin after they lose to the Broncos.
I'll make a guarantee.
I'm going to bring the trash bin.
I'm going to absolutely.
Isaiah, get the trash can. We're going to dunk them now.
I'm going to literally no. I'm going to tomahawk a dunk into the trash can for the Browns when they lose to Brandon Allen and the fucking Broncos next week.
Man. They opened as 1-point favorites. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Before the news came out about Flacco's supposed phantom neck injury.
Yeah.
And now they're 3-point underdogs. And the over-under is appropriately 38.5.
Yeah.
I'd like to start here.
Okay.
The Broncos played a hell of a game in Indy last week. I was quite impressed by that defensive performance. They limited Brissett. They limited Mack. They limited Hill. And they almost won the game on the field.
Right.
They played tough.
Now, they played tough all year. They just can't close out games. Flacco was right. They're not aggressive.
Yeah,
they're playing as conservative as they can.
Which doesn't make sense.
Well, that's because they don't have anything.
Right.
They really don't.
Here's my sleeper of the week for fantasy purposes. Deshaun Hamilton. No, I'm just kidding.
Roll them out there if you have them. Not.
Is this a game where Chubb goes yard again? No. He's feeling a fire under his ass. This is the last week before he has to share that backfield with Kareem Hunt.
And I actually like that you traded him now because I think that when Hunt comes back, he's gonna get some touches.
Hunt was leading the league in yards before he got.
I like the Broncos to win this game. Who's their quarterback?
Brandon Allen.
Broseph is their quarterback.
Broseph
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who their quarterback is. The Browns are dust.
Excuse me for a second.
Freddie Kitchens.
Hello.
So bad.
Jeremy. John Elway on the line. He wants to know if you want to suit up as number 2 quarterback next week.
Suit him up.
I might. Man, look, I don't want to talk about it for long. I'm going to say something this week. I'm actually not going to play a single player on Denver. I like Cortland Sutton, but I don't know what Brandon Allen. I don't trust him. I don't think I'm rolling him out unless I have to.
He's not playing in the running back.
He's a rookie, right?
Yeah. No, was this his second year out of Arkansas? Did he play Arkansas?
Is that who that is?
Is that Brand? I'm trying to even think.
I believe you're right. I think
it is Arkansas.
I believe you're right.
But,
he's like Tannehill. He's like Tannehill.
But I'm not a big.
No, Tannehill was a first-round pick.
But I mean, like, I feel like
but I'm
from
not,
what I saw, Arkansas, like
I think it's Arkansas, but I'm not a big fan, and I'm not starting either running back unless
he drafted 2016. He's been in the league for a few years.
Was it Arkansas he's out of?
It is Arkansas.
I'm not doing it. And on the flip side, man, I believe Landry and OBJ both came up on an injury report. They're playing. If you have them, you're probably starting, but I don't like it. If you have better options, I don't even mind going.
I have Landry, and I don't have better options. Unless you think Robbie Anderson's a better option.
Flip a coin.
I kind of like Robbie Anderson. They're playing the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think I would there, honestly. But Nick Chubb, he got it. He's been a stud.
Yeah, I mean, you have
Nick Chubb's been the only stud in that offense.
Yeah.
The only stud.
So,
man, I see a lot of Von Miller just eating up Baker Mayfield.
As far as who wins and the over-under, I don't know.
I'm going to say 14-9 Cleveland.
I'll say pizza to tomato, and it goes over.
Pizza tomato.
I'm not gonna watch. I
don't have a care for this. This to me is actually the worst game.
I'm not gonna watch this game.
No, it's worse than the Jets. Come on.
I feel like there's at least some fantasy viability from the Jets.
I'm not watching this game, but I am praying that Mr. Allen or whoever his name is
Yeah.
does something miracle and they beat the Browns, so I can tomahawk them into
I
the
want to
trash
see the
can.
Bronco win too. So we'll say Broncos 3, Cleveland nothing. There we go.
We'll go 3-2.
Safety.
I
I love it.
3-2. The Rockies beat the Indians.
Nice.
I'd rather watch
There is-
Girls Across or something than that game.
Hey, there's WNBA highlights for you.
I
all
watch
year
some
long, baby.
NBA highlights over that shit.
The other 425 game, though, intrigues me. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are traveling to Los Angeles. I got to make sure I get used to saying that still after a year or two to take on the Chargers.
I still call them San Diego.
It's always going to be San Diego to me. The Packers are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is 48. The big X factor here is Devontae Adams being questionable.
Yeah, I think there's a week. I think he's a week away, in my opinion.
This is I'm going to go with that assumption too. I think overall, I know the Chargers grinded out a somewhat how the hell did we win that game last week type of win.
Yeah.
I don't see Rivers outdueling Rodgers here. I don't
Not even
see
close.
No.
I don't see Gordon or Eckler getting going.
Nope.
Only 3. I see this game as a blowout of 17 points.
Yeah. I think so too. I think my most curious thing for fantasy purposes is going to be what happens with the running backs of the Chargers, because now firing their offensive coordinator, they seem to want to be running it more.
Or was it I can't catch a break?
Melvin Gordon was already out carrying Eckler a lot, so I want to see what
Who
Eckler's
is the
role
offensive
is gonna be
coordinator,
going
may I
in.
ask now?
I actually have no idea. I just know Wisenhunt left and he can't stay on anyway.
Is it if Anthony Lynn is running the offense, you're going to open up the run game like
I
you did
agree.
in Buffalo.
I agree. That's my thing I'm most curious about. I don't even really want to talk about the guys. You're going to start your regular players. You know who you're starting. You know who you're not. This game is not a tough one to figure out.
No.
The only thing I would say is stay away from the Green Bay pass receivers because it's a crapshoot unless Adams is playing.
You don't have love for Al Lazard?
No, you don't. I think it's a crapshoot.
Kumaro!
I think any 4 of their subsequent pieces, whatever we want to call them.
How about forget the receivers and the running backs are their receivers?
That's all I would do.
Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams.
Aaron Jones and the 2 backs. That's all I'm willing to play.
Start them with
not playing any of the pass catchers.
Start them with very, very much confidence. Yep. This is a blowout. The Chargers.
I like Green Bay to go away. We'll run away with this game too.
And the Chargers they hate playing at home because that stadium is going to be filled with the Packers fans. Packers fans about to fill that stadium.
Already travels well. Yeah. Could you imagine them playing Pittsburgh or New England there? There wouldn't be a Chargers.
When they played Pittsburgh, it was all Steelers.
It was all Steelers. Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. I was asking Hunter.
Does Anthony Lynn make it out of the season? Does Anthony Lynn make it out of the season?
Yeah, you're playing those guys. No, he doesn't. You're playing Hunter. You're playing Allen. You're playing. I think there's those 2 for pass catchers. I don't think I want to play Williams. You could, but
am I out of line for saying this is a 35-14 Packer win?
No, I think it's a drubbing. I'm with you. I think 3.5 is
too.
Way too low. I think it's a drubbing.
Me too. Aaron Rodgers has
Packers
a day.
Stay hot. Yeah.
Aaron Jones has a day. Sure, put Jamal Williams in there.
Thanks. Yeah. And what was it, Melvin Gordon or Melvin Ingram? I forget.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
They're going to walk into a bar.
All right. Do we have a late game?
We have a Sunday night game and we have a Monday night game. We have a big Sunday night game.
It is a big game.
The Patriots visit Baltimore and the John Harbaugh always gives Bill Belichick trouble Ravens.
Is this the game where the Pats...
I'd like to give the numbers before we discuss this. I will let you talk about this first after I give you the numbers. The Patriots are favored by... only 3.5. The over/under is pretty measly high 48. Joe, you seem like you're chopping at the bit here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you?
I like the under. Damn. I like the Ravens somehow. I can't really explain how. I'm trying to explain how, but.
I mean, knowing what the Patriots defense has done this year.
So I don't know why anybody would own any Ravens wide receivers. If you own Willie Snead or whatever.
Well, you know why people own Hollywood Brown because
I understand why you own him, but don't play him. The Pats secondary is absolutely Stephon. I already said it like week after week after week. If you can figure out who Stephon Gilmore's playing, lockdown. Period. I'm gonna somehow take the Ravens by 3. I don't know. I'm just hoping.
I'm going to make this pretty quick here. I think the Patriots are going to win this game. I think it is higher scoring than people expect. Patriots defense has been very opportunistic this year. Turnovers have been a large part of why they're doing so well. And I think Lamar is going to get it done. He's actually taking care of the ball pretty well this year. So while I do think the Patriots win, I do think it's a pretty close game. I'm going to take the Patriots 27, and I'll take the Ravens 24.
Is Mark Ingram relevant this game, or is he shut down?
Yes, he's relevant. We just saw Chubb have a good week last week outside of the fumble there after he brought it inside the red zone on that one play. The other one, that was really what killed Cleveland last week. 3 turnovers on 3 straight possessions. So, yeah, I like them. I think it's closer than people expect. I think it's a pretty high-scoring game. So, 20.
So you think Lamar has a good game? You
Yes,
don't think he
I really
gets
do.
shut down?
Like I said, I think the Patriots have been opportunistic this year. They've scored a lot on defense. Lamar has done a good job of not turning the ball over, and I think that they're going to do okay this week. I really do. Close game. Could be one that the Patriots find a way to lose.
I'm very skeptic about this. Because historically, John Harbaugh game plan for Bill Belichick better than any coach in the league, not named Tom Coughlin.
Yeah.
He's always given it to him tough in the playoffs. He's went into Foxborough and won twice in the playoffs against them. Their regular season meetings are no blowouts.
Oh, quickly, I like Sanu in this game. The Baltimore rush defense is good. Their pass defense is not good.
You like Sanu?
I do like Sanu in this game.
Is
I
this
like
the coming out party for Sanu in New England?
it very well could be. Humphreys will probably be shadowing Edelman.
Yeah.
Do we? It's just a tough game to pick. I'm going to say it's a 3-point win for the Patriots.
Okay, it's another close one. I like it.
And it's a 31-28. I think they give up I think the Patriots give up the most points they've all year.
All right.
Very important game in the AFC, by the way, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Oh, this is a huge game in the AFC.
Huge. Yeah. It's big even for the
Big
AFC
for
North
Pittsburgh.
a little bit. It's big for a lot of teams. Yeah.
This is big for Pittsburgh. In a way, it's big for Buffalo, even though I said earlier they were falling apart. It seems if they get right this week, Baltimore wins. The division's back in play.
Yep.
It's a reach, but it's back in play.
Yep.
And now the last game is Monday night's division matchup. The Cowboys visit the Giants. The Cowboys are laying 7. The first time they met, the Cowboys downright dominated the Giants. This was still with Eli Manning.
7 is downright disrespectful.
Well, when you get blown out 35-14, 7's generous.
Yeah, but they had Eli Manning at the home.
They still had Saquon Barkley, who was the best player on that team.
I don't care. I don't believe in Dallas that much. I'm not going to go with my heart, but I am going to go with my heart. I'm going to say that the Giants somehow win this game.
So Dallas will be 0-2 at MetLife this year?
24.
Yeah, the pie chart becomes half navy blue, half giant blue.
I'll go 24-21. Danny Dimes with 3 touchdowns.
I'm going to take the Giants too. 7's a big number. I'm not just taking them to cover. I'm taking them outright. And I think they win, and I think it's a close game, high-scoring game. We'll go over. I'll say the Giants win this game 31-27.
Dallas is coming off a bye, so you're not even giving them credit for coming off a bye fresh, guys.
Well, it's not talking about coming off a bye fresh. I just think 7's a big number. I don't think either team is all that good.
Yeah, I really don't think the Cowboys.
I think there's a lot of fantasy goodness in this game, but you know who to play. The only question mark is if Shepard plays or not. If he does,
is Gallup playable this week?
Yes,
Gallup is absolutely playable. I believe Shepard is going to play. He's trending towards the right direction.
He's playable if he's going to play too. So play the guys.
Gallup, obviously Cooper. Obviously,
he might be the number one wide receiver play this week. So the Giants secondary is not that
Cooper or Gallup?
Cooper could be the best wide receiver play this week.
I'm going to go.
That defense is atrocious.
I'm going to say that the Cowboys MetLife Stadium woes continue this year, and we're going to go with a Giant victory, but not by much. I'm going to say it's 28-24.
And they start talking about Garrett. If
they lose this game, Garrett goes immediately back on the hot seat.
Correct. And I love to see it because I hate his face. You ever hate somebody's face?
Yes.
You know,
Would you like to see an example of a? I don't want this.
Yeah.
We're wrapping up after this. This is my last
running
segment.
late to get to my kid. Unfortunately, sorry guys.
You hate his face, huh?
I do.
Well, whose face do you hate more, Jason
Oh,
Garrett
put them
or
next
this?
to each other. Oh, can we get a side by side for next week?
I don't know, man. It's
Can
pretty
we get
close.
a side by side for next
It's
week?
pretty close.
We hate him more than Jason Garrett. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I wish I had a picture of Max on here.
We'll slam dunk that in next game too.
Absolutely. I'm gonna practice my tomahawks. I'm gonna tomahawk that dude. I'm gonna tomahawk the Browns.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We'll see
Have a
you
good
next
night.
week.
Good luck this week. All right, Isaiah, I'm peeing. We're going. So I think your brother's ready to lose his mind.
You can.
I'm not too worried about it, but
Joe, hold off.